If you've ever watched part of a baseball game and an epic team collapse, or just enjoyed the getting ready for the baseball playoffs in general, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. It's Hump Day. In other words, it's Wednesday, September 24th, and we've got some more stuff to cover yet again here today. We're going to go ahead and do that. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. I hope the rest of your Tuesday night was awesome. We're starting off another day here where we're going to make some money, and we're going to talk to our friend Tim Melvin here today. The September 24th Wednesday edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook starts right now. Hello and welcome back and good morning, folks. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. As mentioned in the opener there, I hope that you had a great rest of your Tuesday. We're back and we all are looking to make some more money. How's everyone that's holding on this? How you folks doing? Good times right now. Good times. Tom, good morning. Another day to learn and make some money. Enjoy the day, guys and girls. Indeed, I echo that sentiment a lot. Tom, you are first today. Good stuff there. Early bird gets the worm. EKS, welcome back. It's good to see you as always. Sun-kissed Yogi, welcome back. It's good to see you. Zach asking, first of all, good morning, Zach, but also asking, is there more upside in the LAC? We're going to talk about that here today. That's one of the big news pieces that we're going to go over, and ticker LAC, Lithium Americas, is popping here today. That is absolutely on deck. Corey, good morning. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the digital asset treasury trend. Will they be a leveraged version of owning the actual crypto like MSTR, or will it become an overcrowded space? Corey, this is a really good question, and you're asking the important one, frankly. We actually had Tim Kotzman on a few weeks ago. They're doing an unconference, they called it, for these Bitcoin treasury stocks that are in a trend. Now, to your question about will they be a leveraged version of owning the actual crypto, or will it become overcrowded? I actually think both are true. Just like if a company raises a bunch of cash through some means and then does a poor job using that cash, it's going to end up being crappy for the company and it's going to look like it didn't work. Well, the same is going to be true for crypto, without a doubt. I'm sure some of these companies will end up leveraging that and doing great things with it. I trust MSTR more than others. But in the meantime, that is absolutely a trend that is creating some movers. And one of the things that we've seen, Corey, is that these don't often hold their gains. A lot of the times it's just a mover for a day or two before coming back in. So tough to give a blanket answer on that. I do think that trend is going to continue, and successful companies that make good use of those funds or whatever asset they put on the treasury, I think that's where we're going to determine what happens next. I'm not sure we're there yet, to be completely honest with you. Really good question to start the morning, though. Good morning. Kayla, hello. Good morning. Francis, good morning. Wiss, good morning. Let's go. Producers locked in. EKS is dishing out fun facts here. This one here, an average solar panel contains around 20 grams of silver. How about that? How about that, EKS? EKS, you'll be happy to know that the CNBC trivia question today was, what bird can dive up to speeds of 240 miles per hour? And I told the producer before we got the answer that it was the peregrine falcon. So fun fact, I actually knew the trivia here today. Pretty awesome. Anyway, good to see you again, EKS. Bobby, good morning. LAC, we're going to talk about it, no question. Roosters, looking for that as well. We're going to cover all of it, no doubt about it. Big Bees, good morning. Welcome back. Bernhard, good morning. Welcome back. Yassine, good morning. Welcome back. Good to see you. Yassine, what are you looking at here today? Cad Monkey, good morning. Cam, good morning. Azrar, good morning. Reaching Financial Freedom, good morning. I'm trapped in a NVIDIA 180 call that is expiring Friday. Please send good vibes. I'm sending you those good vibes. It's a trap. Admiral Akbar is on your team as well. Look, I mean, if we get a pop here, you might be okay. We'll see, though. No guarantees. Mark, good morning. Welcome back. It's good to see you again, too. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Catherine, good morning. Lambo Rolls, good morning. JJ, All That Glitters, and Lion, good morning. Hoot, Big Bear Hug, and Billy C4, good morning. Night Slants, Barb, and Neville, good morning. Maverick, welcome back. Kevin, welcome back. I almost said Goose just because I had just said Maverick. That was embarrassing. Kevin, good morning. Welcome back. Great presentation last night. Kevin, I'm glad that you enjoy those. You know, I know we do a lot of presentations that sell some of our different services here. And we do some of these pro ones where, yeah, we would love to sell some more pro. But again, just going with Benzinga's ethos here, we're trying to actually give you information that you can use. And we're trying to show you how some of these tools can actually benefit you. Of course, those webinars are all free. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I love sitting down with pros that have been following this stuff their entire life. I learn something every time I do this. They make me think critically about some of the stuff I'm doing. Glad you enjoyed it, Kevin. We'll be doing more of those. Candace, good morning. Brandy, good morning. Peter, good morning. Chuck, good morning. Durkis, good morning. 08 Roush Stage 3, good morning. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Judge, it's great to see you as always. Edward, just passing through. Hans Yolo, good morning. Part, I'm just going to call you Part. Good morning. Billy, good morning. Abby, good morning. Joseph, Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. Yes, that girl, good morning. White Chocolate Mocha, good morning. UNH, we'll probably throw that on here. How about that? Zoo, good morning. ATL Russ, good morning. Malek from Twitter, hi, good morning. Kenneth, good morning. Michelle, good morning. You are so awesome, saying good morning to everyone. One of a kind channel. Look, if I met with you folks in person, if we weren't on the internet, if we actually had a trading club, if we had a class, an educational site, I would say hi to people. This is how I was raised, Michelle. So the internet doesn't stop that. The internet doesn't stop that, and everyone that shows up early deserves a good morning because that's what it is. We start the day off with positivity. We keep the glass half full throughout the course of the day, and we finish the day on the positive side of the ledger. That's how we do things around here. Welcome back. Parvez, good morning, and welcome back. All right, folks. A little bit extended intro there. Sorry about that. Day trader, good to see you. Let's go ahead and start with the stock market today. All right, S&P futures in the green here today. In fact, slightly green across the board. S&P futures up 0.18% here ahead of the open. Dow futures up 0.1%, and the NASDAQ futures up 0.28%. Let's also take a look at some cues from last session here. Energy, real estate, and utility stocks recorded the biggest gains on Tuesday, leading most sectors on the S&P 500 to a positive close. However, the information technology and consumer discretionary stocks bucked the overall market trend, contributing to U.S. stocks settling lower. The NASDAQ composite fell more than 200 points during the session, and the S&P 500 ended a 3-day winning streak. Honestly, probably a good thing that we take a little bit of a breather. Wasn't Kramer calling for a breather yesterday? See if he gets that here today. Among specific movers, NVIDIA, ticker NVDA, shares fell 2.8% on Tuesday, a day after the company announced a $100 billion investment in OpenAI. On the economic front, softer growth was signaled as the S&P Global U.S. Composite PMI slowed to 53.6 in September. In other data, the U.S. current account deficit significantly shrank by 42.9% to $251.3 billion in the second quarter. Let's also take a look here. The Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell acknowledged that, quote, by many means, equity prices are fairly highly valued, end quote. That came from his speech that we were waiting for at about 12:35 yesterday, around midday. The market definitely traded lower on that, but still held the low from the previous day. So when we take a look at the chart, we'll see how that ended up forming there on the daily. However, while acknowledging the high valuations, Powell sought to temper immediate fears. He added that he does not believe this is a, quote, time of elevated financial stability risks, end quote. Tim Melvin's been saying the same thing, by the way, suggesting that the central bank is not yet alarmed about systemic threats from asset prices. Investors are eyeing the release of the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, or PCE, which is scheduled to be released on Friday. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond ticked down again slightly, yielding 4.1%. The 2-year bond yielded 3.56%. All right, as promised, let's go back to the chart here. Let's take a look at where we find ourselves with the SPY. As mentioned, we're just going to start on the daily here with the recent candles. Couple of things that we have discussed here. Let me actually make this a little bit easier for us to see. We do have what could be construed as a potential topping formation here. This kind of looks like a tweezer top. The reality, however, is that the candle from yesterday was actually inside the previous candle, right? The entire body was contained inside the previous candle. It actually, let's see, we have the wick of the candle actually set a new all-time high by 5 cents. That's it. 5 cents on a $663 asset, in this case, the ETF. So technically, we peaked above that level. However, the body of that candle absolutely still inside the last candle. If we take a look inside, you get a little bit more of a clear picture. Where we bottomed yesterday, about 662 was the support that we held. You can see that was just barely above the low from the previous session. And as mentioned earlier, we basically just peaked above by 5 cents. To me, this is so close that you could pretty much just call this a double top. So the range is pretty clear then. Key levels here are going to be yesterday's intraday high. That's going to be basically the top end here. 660. What was the actual number on that? I'm sorry, I've got goldfish memory here. That actual value there, 667.34. That's going to be our upside level. And then our downside level here, likely going to be one of the lows from, let's just call it 662. That's about the same as yesterday and the day prior. That range today is going to be what we're looking at here. Which side, if we do break we break up, do we break down, or do we keep trading sideways? That should help us gauge where the market is going next. Let's take a look at some insights here from analysts and see what they think. Investment giant BlackRock is advising clients to look for, quote, granular opportunities, end quote, in Europe, even as it maintains overweight positions in U.S. equities. A new weekly commentary report highlights that while firms' core risk stance has leaned on U.S. equities and the AI theme, recent Federal Reserve rate cuts and a weaker U.S. dollar are unlocking significant value for dollar-based investors abroad. The report, titled, quote, Sticking with Granular Views in Europe, end quote, argues that selectivity, is essential and identifies 3 specific European sectors that have outperformed their U.S. counterparts in 2025. Leading the pack are financials with a 32% year-to-date return, benefiting from, quote, healthy balance sheets, a stronger fee business, and improving profitability, end quote. Industrials followed with a 21% return, getting a boost from an increased focus on defense, infrastructure projects in Germany, and the ongoing AI buildout. Finally, utilities have posted a strong 19% return. Beyond equities, the firm sees value in European fixed income, particularly when currency is hedged. BlackRock notes the large interest rate differential between the U.S. and Europe, benefits American investors as, quote, hedging foreign bonds back to U.S. dollars captures this differential and boosts the income they offer, end quote. This strategy can push yields on euro investment grade credit to near 6% for U.S. investors. The firm announced its long-held relative preference for peripheral euro area government bonds over the core, believing that the value in that trade has been realized. The bottom line, according to the report, it's clear. U.S. rate cuts support our risk-on stance, but we see ample, if select, opportunity in Europe. So clearly, the best place to be still the United States, but they are not closing the door to other potential places for investment. BlackRock favors European credit and specific equity sectors like financials and industrials to capitalize on this environment. Meanwhile, Ryan Dietrich from Carson Research highlighted that the S&P 500 has hit 28 all-time highs in 2025. 28. 8 of the new all-time highs came in September, the most in September since 9 in 2017. You can see here, for a month that was supposed to be seasonally weak, oh boy, we got the opposite of that, at least so far. We'll see what happens in October. Do we get a spooky October around Halloween? Okay, I'll show myself out. He also highlighted that the current bull market in the U.S. was 36 months old, and the bull market after World War II lasted for 67 months. Some more food for thought there if you want to go through any of Ryan's tweets or data that he provides. Just, again, great data from him, great charts from him. Link to this story is there in the chat. Now, let's talk about LAC. We're actually going to start with the chart, then we'll dive into the news. I'm sure we're going to be talking about this here today. It's also, of course, on the movers list, so I'm sure we'll cover it again. Here's where we're looking. In the pre-market today, we are up about 67%. And you can see here, we actually traded to a resistance area back from October of 2024. Now, the high on this is 520. So immediately, that's going to be one of our key levels today. The other thing that's important about that is that if you look a little bit more to the left, once we clear this, we actually have a gap fill that fills at about 653. Excuse me, that's the bottom of the candle here from April 17th of 2024. So if we continue to break this 520, or if we test and break that 520, I think it's a fairly safe bet that we're going to find our next area up there of resistance at right around 650. You want to call it 653, that's fine. I'm just going to look at it about 650 there for that potential resistance level. Also wanted to check here real quick on some of these longer term charts. No, that looks good. So 520 and then 650, likely your upside levels here. 450 as a downside level. Obviously, the round number might come into play here as well. Let's take a look and see what's going on with this. Lithium America stocks surged 68% in Wednesday's pre-market. Here's what's going on. The Trump administration is seeking a direct stake in Lithium Americas following similar moves with Intel and MP Materials, framing the action as a national security strategy. The move is reportedly part of a move to restructure $2.26 billion federal loan backing the company's Thacker Pass lithium mine in Nevada. The Thacker Pass lithium mine, partly backed by the General Motors Company, is projected to become the largest lithium operation in the Western Hemisphere once production begins in 2028. That's the key there. Production actually not going to begin until 2028. The mine, located near the Oregon border, aims to bolster U.S. domestic lithium supply chain, reducing its dependence on China, which currently dominates refining and processing. The Trump administration is renegotiating a 24-year lithium loan approved under Biden, citing weak prices from Chinese oversupply, and is seeking equity, increased oversight, and potential concessions from GM. The move by the Trump administration comes at a time when the global lithium market is experiencing significant shifts. On September 10th, lithium miners took a hit after China's contemporary Amperex technology, or ticker CATL, which I think we've traded here before. The world's largest battery maker announced an early restart of its Jinzhou mine. I probably butchered that, but I'm trying, adding to the market supply pressure. Companies such as ExxonMobil, Standard Lithium, and Ioneer, those tickers are XOM, SLI, and INR, are also pushing forward U.S. projects aimed at countering China's influence. Meanwhile, Lithium Americas has been making significant progress, which is with its Thacker Pass project, with construction underway and mechanical completion targeted for late 2027. The move by the Trump administration to secure a stake in the company reflects its increasing strategic importance of lithium in the global energy transition. This does have a momentum ranking here, 64. I would imagine that would tick up if this continued to move higher. And we have current intact price trends in both in all the short, medium, and long term. That's ticker LAC. Did anyone own this prior to this? Day Trader here said, I traded LAC back in 2021, 2022, and that was in hopes of that Nevada site. This just goes to show you how long some of these projects can be. Day Trader, you're not alone in that. I've traded LAC before. I think there was another one that I traded too that was related to lithium, but I can't place it right there. It does look like they're taking some more serious action here to try and bolster that. Okay. Next here, we're going to talk about some of Tim Melvin's favorite things before Tim gets here. How much time he might be here pretty soon. All right, the Warren Buffett ratio tops 216%, and valuation metrics mimic the 1999 crash, as Powell says stocks are fairly highly valued amid a lot of these bubble speculations. Amid the growing speculation about a potential market bubble, Fed Reserve Chair Jerome Powell acknowledged that, quote, by many measures, equity prices are fairly highly valued. Two of the most closely watched long-term indicators are fueling the debate. The total market cap to GDP ratio, often referred to as the Buffett indicator, has surged to 216.6%, significantly above its historical average. That's according to long-term trends. Anyone that wants these graphics, let me go ahead and throw that story in the chat as well. Simultaneously, the Shiller cyclically adjusted price to earnings, or CAPE ratio, that Tim Melvin talks about pretty much anytime you stick a camera in front of him, which measures the stock market valuation by averaging earnings over 10 years and adjusting for inflation, has surpassed 40 for the first time since 2000, nearing its all-time high of 44.19 that it reached in December of 1999. This has prompted analysts to look for historical parallels to the current AI-driven market euphoria, which appears concentrated in a handful of mega-cap stocks. Now, this is something that we talked about yesterday. I read you some quotes by Mark Zuckerberg, who said he saw that there are some signs here that there is a potential bubble and all of that. Here's another chart showing that Shiller CAPE ratio. The forward PE of the S&P 500 large cap now stands at 22.8. That is approximately 40% above its long run average, while mid cap and small cap stocks remain near their historical norms. So this again kind of sets up the potential trade that we're looking for. Is there going to be rotation into some of these versus just more overcrowding in the large cap tech stocks? Hopefully we do get that broadening out and that rotation into IWM. That's something that we watch here all the time. While many analysts compare today's market to the dot-com bubble, some see even greater risks. GQG Research, thank you, webpage. God, that is so annoying. So annoying. I'm sorry. GQG Research warns that while today's tech giants have stronger balance sheets than the dot-com darlings, the sheer size of the AI boom makes it more dangerous. Quote, the consequences of the current AI boom could be worse than those of the dot-com era, as its scale relative to the economy and the market is far greater. Meanwhile, Wells Fargo Advisors compared the dot-com crash to recent times and notes that in both eras, quote, a small handful of stocks and sectors carried the S&P 500 to new record highs, end quote. In 2000, information technology and telecom accounted for nearly half of the index. Today, technology, communications, and consumer discretionary, again, dominated by mega cap tech, make up more than 55%. Others see darker parallels to an earlier crash. Mark Spitznagel, the founder of Universa Investments and protege of Black Swan author Nassim Nicholas Taleb, argues that repeated Federal Reserve interventions have created a fragile system. He warns that by preventing smaller market corrections, the Fed has allowed tinder to build up for a potential firebomb worse than anything that's seen since the Great Depression of 1929. Well, gosh, thankfully we got a 20% pullback in April. While speaking in Rhode Island on Tuesday, Powell said, quote, we do look at overall financial conditions and we ask ourselves whether our policies are affecting financial conditions in a way that is what we're trying to achieve, end quote. He added, by many measures, for example, equity prices are fairly highly valued. And I don't think anyone disagrees with that. In fact, when we bring Tim Melvin on, I'm sure he's going to, at some point, talk about value and how to find it, even when a lot of stocks are overvalued. However, while acknowledging the high valuations, Powell sought to temper immediate fears. He added that he does not believe this is a, quote, time of elevated financial stability risks, end quote, suggesting that the central bank is not yet alarmed about systemic threats from asset prices. All right. The other thing that I wanted to cover here a little bit is Micron, but I'll probably save this story for when we actually look at Micron in the chart. I don't want to deny you your dose of Melvin on a Wednesday, so that's what we're going to go ahead and do right now. Tim, good morning. Happy Wednesday. How are you today?
Good morning, Ryan. Just trying to catch up on the morning news here this morning. We're running a little bit behind on a Wednesday morning. So
that's not something I'm used to for you. You've often told me that if you're not early, you're late. So I'm very surprised.
There's dogs, cats, chaos, all kinds of crazy stuff going on around here. Doesn't seem like there's anything that's going to be of critically important, although it does look like the U.S. is going to put 70%, take 70% of lithium America. That's an interesting development. The United States getting more involved in trying to buy critical minerals assets. I think they're a little behind the curve, but what do you say?
Tim, I just really quickly wanted to jump in here. I was so pleased. One of the stories that I wanted to cover here, I kept thinking about you the entire time. This is about valuations indicating stuff is overpriced. Tell me.
I see that on your screen. And first off, Tobias is a really good friend of mine. I love the guy.
Great.
Yeah, he's and his book, by the way, Quantitative Value, that he wrote with Wes Gray. You got to read it. His website acquires multiple good stuff there. The Cape is over 40. Should you be pooping your pants a little bit? Yeah, maybe. Here's the thing, all right? The Cape ratio, and I love arguing with this, and even more fun than for me to argue it is watch Meb Faber argue about it, or Faber, however you want to pronounce it. The Cape is not a timing mechanism, right? It's more a barometer, right? Conditions are right. The stocks are ridiculously expensive. 40 times earnings is stupid. Okay, that's a 2.5% yield. You're projecting, and let me just use the old Ben Graham formula here. You're pricing in for the S&P 500 about a 17% annual earnings growth rate for the next decade. That's not going to happen. There's no universe in which that happens. So stocks are overvalued. And I get all the usual crap here when I talk about this, right? It's different this time. It doesn't matter. AI, quantum computing, low interest rates, Fed, president, it doesn't matter. Stocks are overvalued. A business is worth this. The determinants are how much does it make? What are the interest rate conditions and what are the business environment, right? Valuation measures in the market are a manic depressive business partner. Right? Ben Graham called him Mr. Market. There are times when Mr. Market is so excited, like today, well, he'll pay you any price for your business, especially if you can make it about AI. Other days, he's so depressed that he'll sell you his half of the business for any price because the world's going to end any day now, as everybody knows. And you have to learn to exploit that and take advantage of it. Now, as a trader, do PE ratios matter? No, they do not. If your time frame is next month, the Cape ratio is meaningless information to you. If you're retiring and you got $250,000, $500,000 and you're getting ready to dump it into an index fund, it's going to matter a lot to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that making a statement we should be concerned about as long-term investors? Yeah. Does that mean stocks are going down tomorrow? No, it doesn't. But it does mean that it's a good time to own stocks. It's not a great time to buy stocks. How's that?
Okay.
Is what that indicates.
If you have it and it's working, rock on, but probably not the best time to add new positions, especially with a long-term viewpoint.
Yes. And it's, you've got to be like, if you are adding money, you've got to be just like super selective and careful and cautious. And look, fear and greed is a thing. And the Cape ratio is a great way to measure fear and greed. All right. And you want to be buying when everybody's fearful and selling when everything's greedy, as Warren Buffett once said. And by the way, if you want to see more on the Cape ratio, go to Robert Shiller's Yale website and just Google Shiller Yale Cape ratio. And he's got data on there, I think back to 1865, including the excess yield on CAPE ratio, which is probably more important than the CAPE ratio itself, because that's the cash flow being produced by the S&P 500 on a 10-year average annual inflation adjusted basis compared to inflation adjusted interest rates, real returns. That thing, and he has a tracking line on there that tracks over a long period of time the excess CAPE yield and the subsequent following 10-year return. Yeah, they're like twins. And right now, it's suggesting that maybe the next 10 years aren't going to be great for long-term large cap investors in particular.
Okay. And so I just boiling all of that down, do you anticipate those that have substantial gains in some of these large cap tech to maybe rotate out of that into things like dividend payers, for example?
No, I expect them to get trapped in the large cap stocks.
Okay, I was trying to do a glass half full approach, but okay, Tim.
No, I mean, you're implying that somehow the thundering herd of Wall Street somehow got smart since the last correction. They didn't. They get smart for the first year or two afterwards, and the higher the market goes, the dumber they all get. You know how when you go mountain climbing, if you've ever done any mountain climbing, the higher up you get, the thinner the air is, and it's harder to breathe and harder to think. It's the same with stocks. I mean, the higher up you go, the thinner the air gets, and the dumber you get. So
it's been a while since I climbed Half Dome, but that's a really good analogy there.
But you know, when your cape's at over 40 and you have an idea where there's a little part of your lizard brain going, "That's stupid. That's stupid. Don't do that. That's stupid," then you know that, well, you know, I'm a little foggy from the height. Maybe I listen to that little voice this time. So now, where are we on time? I don't want to eat up all your time. I do have.
We have oceans of it, man. I got you on early.
I do want to mention a couple of studies this morning before we get, because we talked about doing some trend stuff, and we are going to do that on Benzinga Pro because I think it's necessary and it's cool. But I went back. There's a new study on twin momentum, and the authors just said, look, this is what happens when you have fundamental momentum driving about price momentum. And I don't want to bore you guys because I know I talk about it all the time. But they went in, and it's a fantastic study. It's done by a bunch of Wang, Zhang, and Zhao. So I'm thinking these guys are not from Cleveland.
I also had a very, very tough Chinese location name to pronounce this morning. So yes. No judgment on that one, Tim.
And one of the guys went to university in St. Louis, one went in Edinburgh, and one went in Singapore. So I mean, we got the broad spectrum of study backgrounds here. Now, what they found is when you go in, price momentum beats the market, okay, by a little bit. Fundamental momentum, it's totally ignoring price momentum, beats the market by a little bit more. All right. So both beat the market, whether you just use pure price or pure momentum. When you slap them together, you get, it's like peanut butter and jelly, right? They're both good together. You put them together, it's even better. Same thing here. You double the market's rate of return over time. So I just ran we played around with this on Benzinga Pro last night. And you can certainly do that with the rankings, but I ran just a quick and dirty this morning using my database. And I came up with some that are checking off all the requirements: return on equity, earnings growth, sales growth, revenue growth, all the fundamentals, and they are outperforming. So I'm going to give you a few, and they're the names that you think, okay? It's Taiwan Semiconductor, it's AppLovin, APP, Arista, Fortinet, Monolithic Power. And by the way, I'm giving you just the largest cap. I'm doing this by cap, okay, as we go down. As you go down the list, you do start to get into some more interesting names, right? Let me resort here. When you get down to some of the lower ones, you see Global Ship Lease, which is kind of cool. And that, you know, I told this to somebody the other day. You keep telling me how terrible the economy is and the world is. Why are all the shipping stocks doing so well? You've got HCI Group, which is just, you know, this is an insurance company. It is a momentum investor's dream stock at this point. They do
look at just sorry to interrupt you, but just looking at the chart on this, every time this thing comes into the 200-day, it's a buy.
Yeah, and they do hurricane.
Except for right here. I mean, yes. This is what you're not kidding, man. What an insane chart.
This is by the way, it's just a ridiculously cool business. Okay, they do wind insurance in Florida. That's their gig. Florida, some of the other coastal states, but based in Lauderdale, they're mostly doing business in Florida. They do a lot of reinsurance. They do a lot of real estate. They do some IT, sharing information on real estate. In their insurance business, first off, they have one of the best databases on storm and storm damage and all that fun stuff in the world, and they're selling that data, obviously. But their insurance segment, everybody's like, oh, hurricane insurance in Florida, what a stupid idea. Except you reinsure it all off. All right, you keep this small slice because most of the time you don't actually lose money on this. So you keep a small slice, you reinsure the rest off, and you get this business that has bumpy returns, but the returns on average are really high because you make a lot consistently in most years, and then you have an occasional EN year where you're just like, oh man, what a terrible year. But and it will trade with storm noise. But what a just great momentum stock when you look at the earnings growth on this thing, up 84% this year, averaging 240% a year over the last 3 years. And revenue's growing. I mean, this is an insurance company that's acting like a tech stock.
I'll take it.
Right. And then, global ship lease is marine shipping. Again, it's got a chart that does not look like a shipping stock.
What's the ticker on that one?
GSL. This is a
that's what I couldn't figure it out here. GSL, Global Shipping Lease.
Yeah, and it's a Greek shipper that's just doing container ships. They do the lubricating oils and servicing, maintaining vessels. So they've got the operations as well as owning container ships. And this is one, I'm going to step on a political landmine here, okay? Because everybody's like, oh, but the tariffs, they're closing down the ports all over the U.S., and they are. That's true. The guy from the Port of L.A. said, I don't know what I'm going to do this Christmas. I guess I'll take a holiday because traffic slowed down, right? There's a global response to the tariffs and trade policies, and we knew that was going to happen. What did not happen, and in fact, it's actually increased, is trade between nations outside the United States. Right. China is stepping into the void. They're cutting deals in Europe. They're cutting deals in Latin America. Latin America's cutting deals with Europe. So there's still a lot of international trade going on out there. And global ship leases sitting right there in Greece, taking checks and sending ships out and repairing ships and doing the maintenance. And shipping globally hasn't fallen apart. The global economy's not doing that bad. So don't want to fall down the rabbit hole here, guys, but twin momentum, and it's just like the strategy that we actually use in trade alerts, where we actually own a lot of shipping stocks right now for exactly this reason. The earnings and revenues are growing. And again, I don't have to read the news. I don't need to read what the EU thinks of the economy or what the Fed thinks of the economy. I just got to look at the fundamentals in the chart. And it's clearly telling me everything's growing. Business is good. So using twin momentum gives you an edge, and you can do this in Benzinga Pro just by setting the growth and momentum rankings over 90.
Here, let me just do that here real quick, Tim. That won't take very long at all. We're just going to use a scanner here. We're going to search for the rankings. I'm going to check all four just in case you throw me a curveball here. Hopefully I hit it better than the Tigers, by the way. Sorry, you said growth and momentum there at 90?
Yeah, let's just try growth and momentum over 90.
There you go.
And you should see a lot of the same stocks popping on. You can see, but Howmet Aerospace is on that list, and
Lam Research is on this list. Futu, which you don't really like, but that's on this list.
Sterling
Construction, which you recommended at 8, is on this list.
So is Flextronics, which we have in trade alerts, about 50% lower than the current price. Then you've got the gold stocks that we've been talking about. I mean, gold is telling you we're either going to have inflation or a global catastrophe at some point real soon.
By the way, really quickly, we have to promote success around here, Tim. You were mentioning the gold stocks here. AEM is one of the top stocks on this list. Yes. I know Lion Atlas absolutely loves AEM. A lot of people do. We actually gave away a trade on this last night for free. From Anne Marie. She came up with a trade plan for this. And by the way, that's a perfect segue. How about those Micron put butterflies that Anne Marie gave out yesterday, folks? How about those? That trade paid immediately overnight. So I say that because what you have here, you have a really easy to use, accurate way of whittling down the stock market to stocks that meet your criteria. And we had Anne-Marie put some trades on top of that. We increased our chances considerably. Tim, I'm sorry for kind of interrupting but we need to promote Anne-Marie every chance we get. She's literally making people money for nothing.
No, and that's if you come in and you look at the job she's done at Trade Alert Accelerator, it's phenomenal, right? What she's done with weaving options around deep value and twin momentum stocks is incredible. I mean, that's the single best newsletter service anywhere right now is that project that she and I are doing together. And I've been doing this 35 years, and she comes on as, I used to have an account book full of guys from the CBOE. When she comes on and she talks about option strategies, I'm like this, because she never ceases to amaze me and kind of blow me away. So there's the thoughts on twin momentum this morning. And let's just say, okay, there was a couple of papers here. So we're going to go through and see which ones we needed the other ones that we needed to cover. Oh, here's one. And I'm only going to share this with you guys. This is not, usually I'll write an under the radar column or something. We're not doing that. I'm going to do my own research paper on this one. But, for years on Monday morning, the value line would come into the brokerage office. Right, we'd fight over it. I mean, I'd actually got to the point where I'd meet the mailman in the parking lot and get it from him.
Right, I bet he loved that.
But he did.
Probably rather see a Doberman at that point than Mr.
Yeah,
Melvin.
That's exactly correct. Hey, look, I'm a little guy. I can't be in there throwing elbows. I had to get a first mover advantage. So
first mover advantage. Okay.
So we get out, and you'd read through the value line, and you'd go through and see the value line opinions and the projected returns, and I noticed over time that although the 1 and 2 ranking systems, if you're not familiar with Value Line, you need to be familiar with Value Line. And by the way, as part of my ongoing, always shameless plug for public libraries, which I think are the cornerstones of our republic, every public library in America has a Value Line in it. And it's all available in every library I've ever been a member of. You can go online and access the research service for free on their website with just your library card. So the value line rankings are based on a combination of earnings and price momentum. And so the stocks ranked number 1 are the fastest growing companies with momentum expected to outperform, and 2 and so forth all the way down. And those are useful. However, I noticed they do a 3 to 5 year total return projection on every stock. And there's 1,700 in the value line service and another 800 to 1,000 in the small cap service. I can't remember exactly how many in that one, but I always found that the 3 to 5 year forecasts, and those were usually 4 and 5 ranked stocks that were out of favor. I found it to be decent, right? There was a pretty good indicator of what was going to happen over the next couple of years. And I picked a couple of stocks using that really did work. So years later, I'm at a party in New York City at the home of a very well-known futures trader. Larry Williams is there, Ed Dunn from Whippoorwill, guys from Jim Simon's shop. I mean, I'm sitting there rubbing with people who, their brain power is, enough to, launch Earth into space or something. I don't know. It's incredible how many people are there. A very unassuming little guy over in the corner, and we struck up a conversation, and we talked a little bit about baseball and a little bit about this. And he introduced himself to me. He says, "Hi, my name's Sam." And I said, "Hi, Sam, I'm Tim." And we got to talk. It was Sam Eisenstadt who developed all the algorithms for Value Line starting in 1946. And he worked there until he passed away in 2009. He was their data guy. And we were very friendly. We traded emails back and forth, and we talked about various things having to do with Value Line. And I broached this idea. I said, your 3 to 5 year forecasts, they don't track the shorter term rankings, but they seem to work. He says, yeah, they really do. He says, they're based on cash flow. They're based on earnings growth. You're going to catch a lot of turnarounds that way. I never saw it quantified, Ryan, until this week. I always threatened to do it, but you literally, if you wanted to use the database at Value Line, you either had to have it, hope your library had, a gajillion years of data, or go to the building in New York and go through the archives, which I did not have time to do. So we had tons of anecdotal evidence. No, oh yeah, look at that. Okay, a guy named David Thesmer and Emil Veneer came out with a study, Beliefs in Stock Market Fluctuations, New Evidence from the Past 7 Decades. They got all the value line data from 1956 to 2024, and they compared all of this data against analyst datas, and they looked at the entire value line universe. It's 80% of U.S. market capitalization in most years. Unlike most surveys of analyst opinion, Value Line uses cash flow and return forecasts from the same analyst, so that it's very consistent data. It's not all over the place. The analysts don't change on each stock, that sort of thing. They work. That's that. Your bottom line is their 3 to 5 year expected returns are negatively correlated with individual investor expectations, right? So the stocks we all think are terrible are going to do great, and the stocks we all think are great are going to do terrible in the 3 to 5 year projections. They are ridiculously predictive. Okay, so this, and they run it through all the usual statistical tests. So all this anecdotal evidence that I've been piling up over the years, and Walter Schloss, one of the most famous value investors of all time, it's all he had. He didn't have a quote machine. He had a phone and a copy of Value Line. Warren Buffett keeps Value Line in his office. Peter Lynch was a big fan. You've got to check it out. Go to your public library. Go get a trial. They have 15 years of comprehensive security data right on one page. They have the analyst write-ups, and they have the magic 3 to 5 year projected returns. Okay, and as I said, they have a tendency to be correct over time. So naturally, what I did is I went and I looked. So we're going to do this quick because I want to get to the trend reversals.
Okay, real quick here. I want to highlight a couple of comments here. Tim, amazing suggestion. I can use that database right through my library's website. So unlike the old days, sounds like in most cases we don't even need to go there.
No,
you do it on the website. Can you download the data?
I don't think so in most cases. Well, you can't even download the data unless you buy an electronic subscription. But as I recall, it wasn't that expensive. It was a few $100 a year for the digital version of Value Line. So, unfortunately, if you're not, student, major university connected, getting all that data is, as I found over the last 30 years, is a pain in the butt. And I knew the guy who invented it, and I still had to go to New York and sit in the building to get it if I wanted it. But it is there. It is available. We can talk more about libraries at another time, but
okay,
we'll make this easy for you here this morning. Ready? Compass Diversified. I believe that is CODI.
Wait, sorry, say that again.
Compass Diversified.
CODI.
Yeah, This is a very cool collection of companies. It's a semi-private equity company. They own industrial and branded consumers, and they own a lot of sports-related businesses. Very, very cool little company. Stock's been hammered. Value Line has projected annual returns of 56% a year over the next 3 to 5 years. So they think it's going to recover a little bit. Xerox Holdings, XRX, is a 40%. Helen of Troy, same thing. B&G Foods, which I think is BGFS.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to get the Helen of Troy.
BGS, HELE is Helen of Troy.
HELE, that's right.
Yeah, and
Helen
they're
of
just
Troy.
I mean, this is just beauty products and consumer products. I mean, it's just hair dryers. But the stock has just been falling down. They are taking hits from tariffs, but they make a lot of different brands. I mean, it's if you look through their brand sheet, it's Revlon, it's Olive and June, it's Home Outdoor Beauty, Baby Care. They're just doing manufacturing for a whole bunch of stuff, and they do a lot of business with China, which is hurting them right now. But when they recover, I mean, they got a lock on their business. WP Carey, which is a REIT, also has a very high projected return. Trying to pull this up. My machine.
Good chart here too, WPC.
Yeah, you got a 5% dividend, phenomenal dividend growth rate. I mean, so yes, this is just a solid cornerstone type stock. Um, so that's about all I've got time to go through here. I believe there's 50 stocks on the highest, and it's in the summary and index section of the report. And it's just highest annual returns next 3 to 5 years. And then you can even real quick look and see where their safety rankings are. So if you want to favor high potential return stocks with higher safety rankings, well, you can do that too.
Okay.
Now, I believe in, chicks dig scars and go for glory. So I don't really use those measures too much.
Okay, fair enough.
But anyway, check that out. Public libraries. We'll do a whole conversation about that one morning because I think they're critically important.
Yeah, I agree with
to
you.
the future of the country. So, all right, let's go back to our friends at Benzinga Pro. Let's do some simple trend reversals.
Okay, before we do that, I just wanted to get one question here. Jeremy said, is it possible to get an update on PROP, which was a recommendation 2 months ago? That's ticker PROP, Prairie Operating Company.
Oil and gas, EGP. If I remember, this just came through one of the screens, Ryan. It wasn't like an intense, and it was one of those ones where we rattled off a bunch of tickers. But if we take a look here, this thing somebody needs to buy this company like yesterday. It's trading below book value, reasonable multiples. They're doing independent oil and gas in Colorado. It's a small company. I would say that it needs to be bought, but they do. The balance sheet ain't great.
Okay.
So I forget which screen it showed up on, but I mean, it did come as a result.
Yeah, you know what? I don't remember this one either.
I do. It's insider buying. It was an insider buying screen because there's continual insider buying in it. So
there still is. Yeah. Okay.
And still is. So that's what you got. That's an oil and gas company that desperately needs to be bought out.
Okay, and there's insider buying here in a 2 and a 3 handle. So
yeah.
So that's the play here then. Basically, wait for a buyout.
I on that particular company because it's just not big enough, and this is going to happen with all the small oil and gas operators. It's becoming a business of scale, right? And once because of business of scale, it's like banking, right? Smaller players have to sell. So I think that's going to be the case with Prairie Operating.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's do this really quick scanner settings here.
Okay, really quick scanner settings. There's two things we want to do. Trend reversals are key. Paul Tudor Jones made all his money on major trend reversals in markets, all right? So we're going to make this easy for you. And this is going to be your list of candidates that you can then put your own filters on. But this is fantastic. You're going to go in, you're going to get the short-term, long-term, and medium-term trend.
Got it.
Indicators that we have on Benzinga Pro. So now let's look for trend reversals to the upside. So let's go no for long-term trend, no for medium-term trend, yes for short-term trend. These are stocks that have been in a downtrend.
Why is this not working? Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, Tim. I don't know why this is not.
Do we still have any rankings in there? Let me just see.
Oh, you know what? Stupid me, Tim. Stupid me. Here we go. Yes on the short-term trend, no on the medium, no on the long-term. It's not pro, it's operator error. We fixed it. Let's go.
Okay, so if we just look at some of the names that are on there, and I'm just kind of trying to look because my eyes are terrible.
Lilly, no, I haven't sorted in order of market cap, so I can just go down the list if you want.
Okay, yeah, just throw out 4 or 5 stars. Now, remember, these are stocks that have been in a long-term downtrend that have now reversed on the short term. If this is an important bottom, they're going to keep running, right? So you can trade these with kind of a tight stop. And that's how I would do this if you're playing it strictly for the reversal. If they keep going and those other two ends turn to yeses, you make a ton of money. Okay, so the short term is now up. Let's see if they reverse the full trend. So it's a trend reversal trade. So NVO, Novo Nordisk, the fat shots, ServiceNow, lazy salespeople.
Adobe.
Adobe.
So let me ask you, really, when you're looking at trend reversals, in addition to some of the trends that we're having the scanner basically do for us, which is freaking awesome, by the way, are you also looking for other things like Adobe here? This actually kind of looks like a support area.
No, I'm not, but I do suggest that you use trend reversals as a shopping list, not a blind guide.
Got it.
Right. So whatever your indicators, patterns, strategies that you use, what I'm doing here is I'm building you a shopping list of stocks that may have put in an important bottom. Okay. And, occasionally you'll see a lot of information. Like if you see an industry cluster in here, like you just did there with fat drugs, Lilly and Novo Nordisk. That's so politically incorrect. I'm sorry.
I do it all the time. I mean,
if you like we see here with the weight people challenged, also known as the unable to push back chair folks, with the GLP-1 shots. Something's going on, right? They've been selling off, and now we've got two of them that have reversed the short-term trend. So occasionally you're going to gather a lot of information by stocks that are on the trend reversal list.
Okay, I recognize a ton of these companies too.
Right.
Just an absolute ton of them. Okay. This was super simple. If you don't make a mistake, it's actually really easy to get the information.
Now let's flip this on its head. Let's go yes, yes, no. So just flip them around, turn the no's to yeses. And then no.
Okay. So we've got no on the short-term trend, yes on medium, yes on long. Okay.
Look what's on here.
Oh, look, it's all the tech stuff.
It's everything. Now, these are stocks that are in a strong uptrend that have now given their first negative short-term trend signal. So you're looking for a list of stuff that might be topping. Here you go. And if you look, and what I thought was really interesting when I ran it this morning, Ryan, is you got Microsoft, Amazon, Cisco. So we're screaming something about tech here, right? I mean, we're not even being quiet about this. But
Coinbase is a little bit further down the list. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I also noticed that, Royal Caribbean and Booking are both on here. And that's just in, the top stocks. So are we saying something really big potentially about travel here? And as we go down the list, are we going to see more of those? Well, I don't know, but it's worth investigating, right? Because if travel goes, that's an early indicator that the economy is getting ready to.
Hilton Worldwide.
Yeah, there you go. That is a key sign that, and again, just gathering information from the list. If travel goes, the economy is slowing, and it's slowing to the point that the people at the top are going, well, I was gonna go to Acapulco this weekend, but no, let's not do that, honey. Let's just keep the cash in the bank. So that's kind of one of those, gathering information from the list. But this is screaming something about tech. There's a little bit of information there. CoStar Group is on there. You see some retail names are on there. And again,
more tech.
Again, don't come back in a month and say, oh, guys, I put my entire net worth into shorting those three stocks at the top of the list there because you told me to. No, we didn't. We told you it's on a shopping list of potential major trend reversals, okay? What you do with it from here, what other indicators and filters you add from the scanner, that's between you, Ryan, and the universe, okay? Because Ryan can show you some other filters and indicators in Pro that might, help you weed it out down to an actual trading list. This is inventory, and that's how you have to treat it. The probability is kind of in your favor with this list that the trend is going to reverse, but you need to confirm it with other indicators.
Okay. Pretty cool. Pretty easy to use. Gives us a pretty good short list there too, and we can kind of dig through that, take a look at the charts, develop targets from that. I love it.
Yeah, and it's just another simple way that Benzinga Pro, can earn you, over and over multiples of, the relatively small fee that we charge you to access all of this data and indicators. You get a few trend reversal trades in your lifetime that turn out to be major ones. Let's say we got a market correction and, Microsoft and Amazon took 25, 30%. Corrections as they've done on a regular basis in the past. You pile up a lot of money if you short that stock or own a couple puts.
Yeah, no question.
So anyway,
Okay.
that's all. Believe it or not, that's all I got for you.
Yeah, all you had was studies, tickers, and then methods and pro, so we can find some of the stuff ourselves. You really kind of undersold yourself here today, Tim.
I wasn't as funny as usual, and that really bothers me, kind of to my core. It's I don't. One thing I never want to be is boring. So
Okay, well,
years,
I'll tell
years
you
ago,
what.
years ago, I could be funny and good looking, but the hair's gone. I got to be funny.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I can help you out here, Tim. You should never trust a train. Do you know why?
Why?
Because they have locomotives. All right, Tim, you have yourself a good.
On that one, I'm out, guys. That was perfection, and I cannot wait to call and share that with my granddaughter this evening.
Perfect.
Guys, have a great day. Thank you very much.
I hope I get some more smiles from your grandchildren there. Tim, enjoy the rest of your hump day. We'll check in with Tim again. I'll tell you what, I think he's funny every time. No big deal there. Okay. All right, let's go back and we're wait for 13 here. We're going to do the movers. Don't worry about that. Let me actually flip over to the movers here real quick. We can start by looking at this list. Larry says that was funny. Larry, I'm glad somebody enjoyed it. Anne-Marie, dad joke extraordinaire. Hey, at least you guys, if you guys are smiling, that Michelle says, oh my God, that was so dry. Drier than the Cabernet I'm about to have. You let me know though, if you smile about that, then I've done my job here. Tim's sense of humor and knowledge, we always appreciate that. Good morning, 3D. Good to see you again. Okay, let's go ahead and bring 13 on. We're going to knock out some of these movers. And I was distracted by the Goodfellas quote there, Buffalo by Bicycle. Well done. You got me there. All right, let's bring on 13. 13, good morning, bro. How are you doing here today?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Ryan. How are you and how's the chat? How are we doing this morning?
We're doing good. We just had Tim Melvin here, so we feel good about pretty much everything. And we're ready to go. We've making some more money. And we got another day ahead of us here to get it done. So let's go ahead and
more news, more things to look at, more things to trade.
That's absolutely right. All right, let's start here on the movers list. Jane says, Ryan, I can see you at a barbecue telling dad jokes. Yeah, it's easy to find me because I'm the guy that scared everybody off with the bad jokes, Jane. Just kidding. All right, let's start here with the movers list. I'm not sure what you've gone through on this, so if you have specific ones that I'm not hitting, please let me know. I'm going to start with the first one here. It appears we have two 100+% movers on the list here so far in the pre-market. The first one here is going to be SHFS as your ticker. Again, that's going to be Sierra Hotel Frank Sierra. This is SHF Holdings. They entered a $150 million common stock purchase agreement with Creo, which I'm actually not sure what that is, to be honest, with an option to increase the commitment to $500 million. So this looks like just kind of a stock purchase agreement. That's sending the stock here today. We're up 156% already here in the pre-market. We take a look at the short interest here, 2.74% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume of just under 1 million shares. Today we've traded almost 11 million, so we're going to blow that out of the water here. And the float exactly where we're looking at 1.79 or just about 1.8 million. 13, what do you think here on SHFS? I'm going to screw this one up today. I can already tell.
So, the 150 million common stock purchase agreement, that's up to 150 million. No guarantee that it's going to be 150 million right away, but they do have the option to increase that commitment to as much as 500 million. Now, with 1.79 million shares in the float, this thing should move pretty well. But get your bongs ready because this thing is actually a banking solution for cannabis-related businesses. So this might be this company might be picking up these shares ahead of the potential rescheduling announcement that we're anticipating to happen during this congressional session. So I think that's what makes this interesting. Now I don't know if it's the stock price is worth the price it's trading at right now. Might be, especially if they purchase common stock, that's going to help lift its financial condition. But the problem is that this company does not have a great looking balance sheet. They have no cash. They lose almost $1 million a quarter. They do have some revenue, but Yeah, it seems like they'd have to, do some kind of capital raise or get some kind of cash infusion. Fortunately, they are entering into this common stock purchase agreement, so that will certainly change that position a little bit. But I thought the most interesting part about this is that it's cannabis related, and we should probably make sure we're keeping an eye on those different names that are involved in cannabis. There is going to be a rescheduling happening soon. We have received information from congressional aides that they anticipate they're going to have the Safer Banking Act passed during this congressional session. So we'll see if that ends up happening. But this is kind of interesting because it's leading us in that direction of cannabis rescheduling.
Okay, really good stuff. I actually think that Safe Harbor Financial Smarter Cannabis Banking. Okay, so at one of those conferences that I ended up working here for a Benzinga, I actually got a just some of like the swag that they had at the different booths as I was examining the different companies. One of them was a shift click grinder, and I just wanted to see if this was the same thing. Doesn't look like it is. Okay, really good breakdown there. 13. We'll see if we get a trade here in SHFS. Possibly a move back through the VWAP. We actually have a pretty good range up to a 14 handle there. Okay, next on the list here is going to be QURE. I think I saw several of you folks talking about this one here in the chat. This is moving on a headline here. Unicure shares are trading higher after the company announced that it entered into a $175 million non-dilutive senior secured term loan facility with Hercules Capital. That is causing the stock to pop here. I think the key here is that it's non-dilutive. That's always going to be a good thing for the stock. Big pop here. The stock was about $14 yesterday. Oh my goodness. We traded above 43 for a brief period here today, holding higher by $20.58 in a 34 handle. Take a look at the short interest on this one. 16.73% of the float shorted and 12.83 days to cover. That is a high value there on the days to cover, pretty elevated value there on the percent of short float, although not above the 20% threshold that I would like to see for a potential short squeeze. Nonetheless, the stock trades on average, 100-day average, 1.15 million shares. Today we've traded 5.6. Float on this is 54 million, so it's a bit thicker, but there might be some squeeze potential here. In fact, some of that might already be baked into the move that we see here. 13, what do you think about this non-dilutive funding?
Well, I don't really think they needed the cash, and need is, going to be a relative word, but they have a lot of cash in the bank already, but it seems like they just wanted to get that loan refinanced. So they did that, but also got more cash in the process. So if anything, and the secured term notes, those are against assets they have. So if anything happens to this company, Hercules is going to be the first to get their money back. So and this loan matures in 2032. So 2030 also. So
2030.
Yes, just want to make sure that was clear. But they already had hundreds of millions in the bank already, so they didn't need this. They have a lot of cash, but they do burn through it a lot. So this just extends that runway for a little bit longer. But that's what's going on with QURE here. As far as the levels go, I think I had 35. We were at right now. It's one of the big resistance areas, because if you look back in 2021 and a little bit more further to the left in 2020. Even in 2019, this 35 area has been a pretty tough area of resistance to get through. And even if we do move above 35, it's going to be it could be a slog getting all the way up to 40. So I'm expecting there to be a lot of we did get a move above 35 just now, so that's good. But it might take some time for this to get through all the way up to 40, which could be one of the next potential areas it goes to this morning.
And you know what, 13, just kind of looking past that $40 level, even this $42.50 level, you talked about this being a tough slog. That actually might be an area from where we're at right now, the 7-point area up to that 42.5. So we'll see there on QURE. Okay, really good breakdown there on that. And also, guys, if you could smash up the like, not only for 13's expertise and expert breakdown, but also our chat members helping us out with things that are going on there, thinking about it, giving you a whole bunch of analyst ratings on a lot of the stocks that we take a look at here, like IREN, CIFR, and Riot. So thinking about it, really, really appreciate that type of stuff. Izzy, you were mentioning there was some news on LA. Yeah, what's up?
So the one more thing with QURE,
Sure.
Bernard's right. That also had announcement for phase 2 data, which is great. It's for Huntington's disease, but I think the bigger news here is that they're getting money and they're refinancing debt. I mean, it's both that I believe this is moving on, but I think the bigger news is the money.
Okay. Really good stuff there. All right. Thank you very much. Also here, really quickly, smoked tuna. I'm just going to throw this one out here. Tuna, you've been literally in fuego.
Yeah.
Hot smoked tuna, you might say. Very slow and low volume day. Careful trading today. Sometimes it's okay not to take any trades. So there you go, Izzy. If you keep yelling, tuna, what's the play? Tuna, what's the play? Please understand there might not be one here today, given the market conditions that we are seeing. Okay. Izzy, you did mention LAC as having some news. We talked about that there in the opening. Here is the article that we have that's covering it that you can use there as a reference. But as you were saying here, let's break it down like a fraction. LAC here, Lithium America shares are trading higher after Reuters reported that Trump officials are seeking an equity stake in the company as part of a renegotiation, of a $2.26 billion loan for the Thacker Pass lithium project. Couple of things on this. Again, tons of information there in the story. This popped. This is holding it. This is going to be in play here today. It's trading on much higher volume as well. We also got a price target lower to 7 from 8 from Jefferies. They maintained a buy, but they did lower the price target there a little bit. So in addition to the big news here, that's also going on. Quick look at this. On the short interest, quick look around the horn, I should say, 11.48% of the float shorted with 4.7 days to cover, comes on an average volume of 8.74 million. Today we've traded 23 million. This one is 240 million in the float. So this one going to move a little bit slower than some of these other movers, but this has a pretty big catalyst behind it. And really quickly, just kind of looking at the chart here, I'm basically going to be looking, I want to go down to 450, but I'm basically going to be looking at this range, 450 to 550. If we can break out of that range, which way do we go? Up or down? Can probably trade it that way or in that direction, once the direction has been picked. 13, what do you think here on ticker LAC? The news, the chart, anything?
Well, the float is, I think, the biggest concern I have, that being 240 million. So that's going to be a little bit heavy. And you know how I feel about these large floats and how they trade when we open. If they've been a mover, they don't really give the outsized moves that we typically see with these lower float names. So I don't know that we're going to see some, remarkable price action, kind of like how we were having in the after hours where there was no, halt restrictions or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just let this thing get, driven up to 610. But as far as the levels go, I would like to see this hold above 5. Now we could certainly trade beneath that. I have to think that that's going to happen. We do have the 200 EMA on the 5-minute down at 451 if that happens, but I would prefer to see this hold above 5. If we start to, if it looks like we're going to continue to get that as we go into the open, then I'll want to see a recapture of view up, and I think we're going to be doing pretty well at that point. We'll see how high we go. Now there looks to be a little bit of a downtrend here. I guess we could start with the after hours high at 610 and draw it through the pre-market high around 750.
Sure.
That would be one trend line I'm looking for, but need to see more volume in this thing to move that 240 million share float. You already pointed out the short interest. The company does have cash. But I don't think they've really done a whole lot with Thacker Pass. And that's the thing that I'm sorry I don't have enough information on. I don't know how much Thacker Pass has been developed for lithium mining. But if it's still a ways away, then their cash position makes a lot of sense because they're going to need a lot of capital in order to get that site developed.
I've got your back, 13.
Okay.
Thacker Pass project with construction underway and mechanical operations targeted completion date of 2027. The mine is not supposed to produce until 2028. Let me see if I had a more. Here we go. The Thacker Pass lithium mine, which is partially backed by General Motors, by the way, is projected to become the largest lithium operation in the Western Hemisphere once production begins in 2028. So the completion of the project is 2027. Production begins in 2028.
Okay. Well, there you go. So we're 2 to 3 years out from this.
Yep.
And that's going to be a pretty capital intensive spending time that's going to happen. So I would maybe anticipate the value of the company to come down over that time as it bleeds money. But maybe one day this will be worth picking up, not for just a trade, but for an investment.
Okay, really good stuff there. Really quickly here, I wanted to answer this question here. Michelle is asking, 13, can you please explain float for me? I'd be happy to do it. If you want to do it, you can as well. Float refers to the regular shares that are available for trading.
Yep.
All right. So these are not shares that are held by insiders. Yep. These are not preferred shares. These are just regular common shares that when you click your buy button in your broker, you're buying shares out of the float.
It's what's on the exchange. It's what we can, you, me, everybody else can go into a broker and buy, as opposed to outstanding shares, which also include different senior notes, preferred notes, restricted units, all different kinds of things that are not available to be traded by you and me through an exchange, on the open market. So that's the difference between float. It's what we're able to exchange freely. It's usually commons. And it doesn't include the outstanding shares, which are usually held by insiders or institutions that have struck a special deal with the company.
Yeah, and the reason that this number is important, Michelle, is because of supply and demand. Yep. Right? The higher the float, the more there is for people to buy. The lower the float, the less there is for people to buy. So you can then infer that if someone buys a lot of a low float stock, you're likely to see a change in price, or in other words, a more significant change in price. You buy 100,000 shares of Apple, it might tick up 1 or 2 cents. You buy 100,000 shares of a low float stock, that might tick up several dollars just to get that order filled. So let me know if that makes sense there, 13. Appreciate that. All right, let's keep moving here. It looks like a lot of you folks are talking about Marvell. I don't see it on the list here. And with us having 14 minutes, I might just kind of cut the line here real quick and see what's going on. Here is Marvell, ticker MRVL. Marvell shares are trading higher after the company announced an additional $5 billion stock repurchase authorization and a $1 billion accelerated share repurchase program. Okay, so Marvell buying back its own stock. You know what? We'll tie this to the float conversation. What is Marvell doing? They've got 730 million shares in the float. And what the company is doing here is they're buying some of those shares back to own it themselves. You might think, well, why would they do this? Couple of reasons. Number one, every other share that's out there that's being held is now more rare because the company bought back some of their own shares, thereby effectively lowering that float number. The other thing here is that the company buys back its own shares and it does a really good job and those shares double in price. Company's worth more money. They bought some of their own shares. They increased the value of the company and the company is worth more. Buybacks often are viewed as a positive. When we hear about this, you'll see a lot of stocks that report that they are authorizing a new buyback. You'll see them trade up on the back of that news. And that's exactly what we're getting here. Marvell plus 4% on the back of this news. Let me make sure there was nothing else.
It can be usually positive. I think when you see a lot of these companies doing buybacks and there's a lot less volume in the market, I think that's a little bit more of a concern because that just means that the company that's doing the buybacks is pretty much the only one trading it. And when they do, by the way, when they do buy their shares back, they end up retiring them. So the structure, their share structure ends up getting a little bit smaller. So that's what happens when they buy them back. But when you have to look at how much of these share buybacks have impacted stock price action. And we talked about this, I think, a couple of years ago in Happy Hour. We were looking at how much of a company doing share buybacks versus what investors and retail traders. Sometimes it's much as 35% or more that the companies are as far as a total trading price action for this particular stock. It's 35%. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of trading volume.
So it's concerning because if we're not getting a lot of trading happening with this, and it's just a company buying its shares back, well, what does that mean?
Sometimes it's viewed as financial engineering, effectively, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, really good stuff there. Good question, good discussion. I'm discovering just now that Lion owns a barbecue and American food restaurant, and somehow I haven't been sent free food or a gift certificate or anything, Lion. I'm extremely disappointed. I could use a plate of barbecue right now. I'd probably take a nap, but it would be delicious. Okay, good stuff. Can I keep moving on here? Or I'm going to keep moving on here. Easy for me to say. 13, did you have any others in your list that you covered?
Just the 100% movers, and then the LAC one. That's there are other lithium stocks moving. Off the Lithium Americas news. We did get a move in, I think, STI. I don't think that ended up really doing anything. ALB, that ended up doing a lot better. So some of these lithium plays are going to get some attention today, in my opinion, off of the Lithium Americas news. Yeah, look at
Here
that.
is ALB. This did pop in the after hours and looks like it might try to go higher here again.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. TNFA has some recent news, apparently. This is spiking right here. We're identifying movers in real time here today. I like this. TNFA is your ticker, Tango November Frank Alpha. This is TNF Pharmaceuticals. Let's see what's going on with this. TNF Pharmaceuticals rebrands as QC Technologies, shifts to quantum class computing with new ticker symbol QCLS. This is going to be effective September 25th, which is tomorrow. So we have a pharmaceutical stock that's saying, you know what, F this, we're going to become a quantum class computing stock. So that's your news here on this. I'm sorry for laughing, but it is rather amusing. Quick look around the horn on this. Actually, we did not have a recent read there on the short interest. That's interesting. The prior read, though, was 36.78% of the float shorted. Yikes. Actually, just kind of looking at this. So interesting. Okay, so this must have recently had a split, right? I'm trying to figure out why we don't have a value here. Yeah, this thing on September 2nd did a 1 for 100 reverse. So that's going to alter some of these short interest numbers, but that's good to know. 1 for 100 reverse, and now they're going to try and do quantum computing. I'll be honest with you, I'm skeptical of this on the surface here. Maybe this is a mover. To me, this is absolutely one of those where you just really can't trade it. I have a float now of 1.84 million. I'd be curious to know if you have something similar, 13. On average, stock trades 600,000 shares. Today, we've traded 825,000 already.
And this is TNFA. Let me look at my broker and see what it says. My broker says 1.85 million.
Okay.
And I still have my levels from the last time we traded this. So $5 was the next resistance area we were going up to before we pulled back. We only went up to 483. Now I'd be looking at 435, 440. That we're right about where we're at right now is the next resistance area. So we get through that, back to looking at the high and $5 area. So this is still moving right now. By the way, Ray Riordan, you were asking if there is a lithium ETF. Real quick. There's a few that you can choose from. LIT, which is a Global X Lithium Battery Tech ETF. You can also choose from ILIT, ILIT. That's lithium miners and producers from iShares. And then there's also the Sprott Lithium Miners ETF, which is LITP. So
okay,
hopefully that works.
They're asking, you shall receive. Look at this, TNFA continuing to go now. 520. Boy, this was a good mention here, producer. Appreciate you.
575 is next for resistance.
Okay.
And I'm going to have to start putting up some other levels here because we're going through them.
Okay. All right, I'm just going to really quickly go through a couple of these other tickers here. I don't know if there's anything we need to dive into. We'll see here. Next one's going to be RCT. This is Red Cloud Holdings. This stock was doing its best to hold on to $1 yesterday. Today here we're popping. Looks like we had an impulse move to 2, currently grinding higher at about 150 here. Red Cloud shares are trading higher after the company joined the NVIDIA Connect program. So here we go. This is that same theme that we have been talking about. Remember, Wiss told us yesterday it's free to join this. These PRs here, to be honest with you, they kind of feel a little bit pumpy.
We talked about AI adoption yesterday. I'm just wondering if maybe it's going crazy because good, they're adopting AI, because AI adoption is still very, very low. So maybe it's just the market getting excited because more companies are adopting AI.
Yeah, but again, I think it really the devil's going to be in the details there, right? Like, what are they doing with this? Are they monetizing it? Are they able to earn money and increase revenue? All of those questions are left unanswered. Exactly. Is it just a PR pump? That's well said. Anyway, it's moving. That's what's going on here. Again, just shy of 150 here. Quick look at the short interest on this, negligible, 2.38%. Not even going to look at the days to cover because it doesn't matter. On average, trades 1.8 million. Today we've traded 23 plus. Float here is 8 million. Do you want me to keep moving on this?
You can keep going. Yeah, I'm just looking at levels for TNFA.
Okay. Izzy says, Ryan, I have an Eric Jackson stock that should run tomorrow. Throw it in the chat. We'll take a look at it. Give it to everybody. Let's do it. Next here I have on the list is going to be AQMS. This is Aqua Metals. Was this on the list yesterday?
No, but this is going to be, within it's going to be lithium and battery play. So this is a battery play.
Yeah, and then Xpon here, that's also going to be on the list. Jizu Holdings, this one I'm just going to avoid. This is trading higher. The company's board approved an adopted crypto asset investment policy. I'm actually going to go ahead and add that to the altcoin treasury. Again, Chinese stock, we'll see where that ends up going here. CLPT, this is ClearPoint Neuro. This is a $12 stock that moved into a 16 handle here. Let's see if there was any news on this. Got a buy from Lake Street early this morning. Let's see if they have a price target. I don't have a target on there, but this is a buy rating here on Lake Street. The stock is popping. Short interest on this one here, 8.55%. So a little bit higher, but not crazy. 8.59 days to cover. Comes on some pretty low volume. So I think if this trades enough volume, should be all right there. All right. Anything else that you want to take a look at? Let's see what we got here. 4 minutes.
Yeah, looks like we just went through the 6 handle a moment ago there in PNFA. That was one of the next areas. I have 680, 675, 680 is the next potential area. We could go as potentially as high as 9. Although I'm not saying we will. It seems like that would be a little bit of a tall order right now. We were getting asked about
IREN.
Well, we were getting asked about GNRC, and it's falling 10%. I was starting to look into that for Matt, but go ahead and do IREN. I'm going to look at this.
Yeah, I'll do IREN really quick. We'll go to a big chart and we'll chart out Generac. I know that's been a common watch there. Okay, so really quickly here with IREN. Research initiates coverage on IREN with a buy rating and announces a $78 price target. Current price of the stock, $43. So I don't have anything else in here on that. It's also worth noting that they upgraded Cypher and Riot as well. So several of you are asking about CIFR and RIOT. All of these got ratings here from Arete Research. Roth Capital, as of yesterday, had an $82 price target on IREN. They went from 35 to 82. So you're having some price target moves here on IREN. Here's what the chart looks like. Let me actually go to a daily chart here. Oh my, you want to talk about short-term momentum? There you go. I would be careful with this one just because when you see stocks like this, there's often a lot of pullbacks, but nonetheless, some pretty good news there. And again, the other ones that this applied to was CIFR, very, very similar daily chart here. This one also affected by that same news. Price target of 24, current price is 14. And the last one there that was mentioned was Riot Platforms, another show favorite here. Price target of 26, current price 17. All right, good stuff there, Supri. That's what's going on with those names. We'll check back in on them during the regular session, I'm sure. In the meantime, now let's do Generac, ticker GNRC.
Yeah, it's experiencing over a 10% decline since yesterday. I'm just kind of wondering if this has anything to do with the battery news. And this is a backup generator that uses, gas. They also do have some battery backups. So not sure if that's the case, but this is, electrical equipment, as is some of the other battery names. So thinking there could be some kind of, a relationship to why this is going down, but I haven't found anything definitive yet. And it's really hasn't moved much since, yesterday too. It's been kind of just, going sideways in the pre-market here. The big move came yesterday.
Okay. And we had no news on this, right?
I didn't see. I
don't
see
either.
anything.
Neither does producer.
Yeah.
Okay, GNRC. I tell you what, I'd love for this to come back into 150.
Yeah, I'll let you know if I find anything though.
Okay. Okay, great. I'm going to flip over to the main workspace here. We are less than a minute until we open up here. 13 right at the open here. I have got to go to the washroom, so I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Right.
I'm actually going to leave TNFA on the list here. Of course, it just disappeared as I tried to click on it. Why wouldn't it do that? I'm going to leave this right on the screen here. Go ahead and cover whatever you want. I will be right back.
All right, folks. Let's see. We've got what 43. Okay, so we're less than 15 seconds away. We looking at here. So SHFS. This is kind of declining into the open here. QURE. This is trying to push through that $40 area that I mentioned earlier. What a big move that we had going from 35 to 40. We are open and we are pushing through $40, trying to anyway, for QURE. The pre-market high was 43.30. So if we do push through, that's going to be the next resistance area. We could take a little bit there and see if this runs beyond that. Let's see what else is going on here. SHFS, that is trying not to sell out of the gate here. It started to, but got some bids. Moving back up towards the 65 EMA, trying to get over it. Lithium Americas, this did initially pop over VWAP, but it has come back in. See if it can break this downtrend that it's in. TNFA, this is continuing higher and probably will halt. There it is, halted. So this, when it unhalts, we'll be looking at this maybe printing some high 6 figure, or maybe even going through 6 altogether. If it does that, I'd be looking at $9. I don't know if it'll get there, but that's giving that lit ticket to place the limiter. Oh, nice. Congratulations, Cam. Hopefully that those ETFs work out for you. TNFA halted up. Yep, we got that. Iron, Cypher, Riot are up. Oracle, Open, SoftBank, Stargate deal, $500 billion for 10 gigawatt data centers. Dang. Where's all that power coming from? You got all these different companies that are going to be using that power. Where's the power coming from? Rhea hold, or is it a halt? You mean? Yeah, it's huge. Absolutely. Hey, Brian, we were just
what's huge?
We were just talking about how thinking about it was mentioning Iron, Cypher, Riot, Oracle, Open AI, SoftBank, Stargate deal up 500. Oh, it's up on $500 billion for 10 gigawatts data centers. And I was just asking, where's all that energy coming from? All I see there are just companies that are using energy but not making it. So got to come from somewhere.
That's right. That was the infrastructure challenges that Sam Altman spoke about. We covered that yesterday. IREN, what a move out of the gate here on IREN, by the way. Big time move up.
We're up to 45 and then backed off. QURE kind of did the same thing, went up over 40. Tried to get to that pre-market high, couldn't do it, backed off. Now it's beneath 40 again. SHFS, that is now trading lower. And Lithium Americas is actually breaking over that trend line that we drew. If this continues, I'll be looking for a test of 6. We just got to get through this sideways consolidation from the after hours.
Okay. Brian says, congrats, IREN holders. It hasn't been pretty, but time to prosper. Hey, it doesn't have to be pretty, right? The results matter a lot. Smoke Tuna says, careful chasing today. Yes. In fact, I don't think you should chase.
Yeah,
today.
don't do that at all, I would say. I know things are going to be looking really, really enticing with how they're moving right now, but we don't want to be buying at the top. We don't want to be the one that
definitely not.
That everybody sells to get out. We don't want to be that person.
Yeah, and if you're unsure, like we were saying earlier, it's okay to just pass.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like we have the blast from the past yesterday, Plug Power. That after that didn't do much out of the gate. Well, we got up to 316 and then gave it all back and went lower. That's got a pop that's taking it to the pre-market highs. I don't know how high this goes. There's a large seller in the way at 271, but just thought it was worth a mention since it's popping out of the gate here.
Yeah, right at the pre-market highs there too. Mm-hmm. IREN new highs as it busts through 45.
Redwire continues. You know what else is continuing? Voyager.
Is it really?
That's coming back up.
Hey, it's still under where I sold it at. I don't feel bad yet.
It is kind of putting a nice little bottom. So we'll see if that holds up. So I drew a trend line that I started from June, the June high. through the July high and then all the way down to where we're at right now. We're getting over this trend line right now, and the 50-day SMA in the process of trying to capture that. So that's going to be a resistance area, that 50-day SMA. But if we do manage to start closing over it, this could start looking better. There's going to be a big resistance area at 37.50 if we do continue higher, though. So that's something to keep in mind. But just kind of following along with what's going on with Starship, too. And they just completed their static test fire for Ship 38. And that means that we could be seeing a launch in about 2 weeks. So just waiting for those NOTAMs filings.
Okay, good stuff there on Voyager. LAC continuing to push higher here. Part of me wonders where the top, we're actually breaking above that pre-market range. So we said what, 550 to 450? So let me actually mark this off here real quick.
I'm looking for 6 next.
Yeah, I'm looking for a back test of this line to really kind of confirm what we're doing. Let's see if we back test this at all here. LAC. Ryan, you're funny. That's Y-O-U apostrophe R-E-L-O-L. But thank you.
XLE is the best performing sector.
Really quickly, I just want to reiterate this again. Jay is mentioning Micron here. Micron, it was a high bar down 10-ish from last night. Hey, Jay, how about that put butterfly from Anne-Marie yesterday, right? How about that given out trade here by Anne-Marie on Micron? We'll see if that continues to pay here today. Credit where credit is due, though.
You know, what's interesting is Micron so it made a high back in June last year, and that high, it's back testing as support right now. So we'll see if that ends up holding up and reversing, or if we lose it and go down towards 150. We're almost to $6, by the way, with the Americas.
I was going to say this tried to pull back, and the buyers were like, nah, we're going to go right back up to those highs there, right through 580 right there. We are going to 6. I have no position in this, unfortunately.
Yeah, to your point, Crocodile Dummy, about Redwire. It's that company that they acquired not too long ago, Edge Autonomy. That is their drone angle, and it's a follow-on delivery of Autonomy's Penguin UAS to Ukraine Armed Forces. Yeah, so you got that. You absolutely nailed that. Data centers are just starting. Yeah, but we need the energy to power them. We're gonna need that. All right.
Michelle says, "Man, it's so hard to not chase today, but you can do it, Michelle. We can be patient. We can be patient and wait for setups." I am missing LAC too. I see dollar signs that are not in my pocket, but we're gonna be tactical because I don't want the dollars in my pocket to come out of my pocket, frankly. ABAT, by the way, this was another big winner here from the group a long time ago. This popping here, you had said it's going to be a lithium and battery day, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. LAC still looking maybe to go to 6. We'll see what it does on this pullback.
Yeah, this one also has a little bit of short interest, it looks like. 13.2% with 3.35 days to cover. Not exactly the days to cover we want to see, but still worth mentioning there. They filed for a mixed offering, a mixed shelf offering of up to $250 million. So keep that in mind as you trade this. They could execute that offering.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
C Boogie is asking, did you ever get puts in A-Lab? No, my trade in A-Lab was the island, was a back test of the bottom of the island in a long trade. I didn't even really look for puts on this. Now it has pulled back here from that kind of impulse high move that it made. This would have been a great trade on A-Lab. I do think you might be entering a support area here, maybe a little bit more, maybe 195-ish. A-Lab, we'll see. No position though, man.
QURE is still holding above my VWAP, trying to recapture 40. We'll see if it can do that. If it does recapture that that $40 level, still looking for that pre-market high at 43.30. Looks like SHFS is trying to turn around as well.
And it looks like LAC is slowing down. I don't want to make an early call on that, but this is one of the reasons why I said you really don't want to chase here. Maybe this trades back down to a tradable level. Aha. Let's see if we can get down to 561-ish right there on this pullback.
Quadruple U is up, says Izzy. Market kind of pulling in some
Yep.
aspects here. Bull just had a big pull. On here, hit the player, hit the game.
That's a good song, by the way, a long time ago. Damn the Automator, if anyone is into that. All right, LAC so far did pull back and hold this. We'll see if we get another move here in LAC. Again, though, but watch the FOMO, be careful. It's already kind of made a pretty big impulse move. If you do take one and it doesn't work early, I think you're probably best just cutting it and waiting for a better setup. I don't think hopes and dreams should be part of the plan here today.
Yeah, I just took a quick trade in SHFS. I don't have a position right now, but it looks like it's trying to recover still. It played the bounce and the VWAP recapture. I don't know if this is going to hold up.
Okay.
I do not know if this is going to hold up. It'd be great if it did, and then we could potentially see a 10 print.
LAC, so we lost that level here. I'm almost thinking VWAP next here,
Yep.
531. That's another 20 cents lower than where we're at on LAC.
That's your VWAP is 531. I got 540.
Yeah, 531. Let me see what it is in my broker here. 539. So we're real close on that. Real close on that. We'll see where LAC turns around. If it turns around. It's already made kind of a pretty big impulse move.
Thinking about it, which companies, which power companies? Just curious if you know. Because if one of them, I mean, it's likely utility companies, I'm sure. So just, if you could tell me which ones they've got deals with, that'd be great.
Which one was that? IREN, CFR already have secured power deals for their data centers. Okay. CLSK is soaring. That was one that we've actually been looking at recently. CLSK.
Up 8%. $15. Let me look at this chart here. We're trying to hit the highs from yesterday. This thing is very extended, so I think I'd
Yeah, this is another one here. Probably not a good idea to chase.
Look at the daily chart. That's got an 80, almost 85 RSI. This thing has been on a really nice run since moving over the 200-day SMA and the 50-day SMA. This looks like it needs to pull back, and I think that would be best if the stock did. This should probably pull back to somewhere in the 13 handle, maybe a little bit lower. Cool that RSI off, and then let's just see this thing rip to 18. That'd be, I think it would be ideal.
Okay. Izzy here saying DEFT, DEFT, Eric Jackson on the board meeting tomorrow.
Okay. QURE, that VWAP is still holding up. Haven't reached that 4330 level yet, but we are approaching the regular session high. That's going to be 4198. We're approaching that right now. If we move beyond that, I think we're going to get our 4330. Yeah, SHFS.
5 minute.
There we go. That pulled right back down to where I started trading it for that quick bounce. I just don't know about SHFS. Just a lot of back and forth so far in the regular session. Now, Lithium Americas, it's holding up its view at VWAP right now, my VWAP. So this looks better. But sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
I was going to say mine too, actually. I had it at 540 here in my broker, and so far it's holding that. I actually have the VWAP at 540 in TradingView as well. So far it held a VWAP. Tennis is life. Izzy is a Twitter viewer, so his messages are via Twitter. You're in the YouTube chat. We broadcast to Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. That's why I try and read a lot of those comments so other people can hear what others are saying. LAC so far is bouncing. Let's see if it can clear 561, maybe get back above this recent high. I have that at about 586. We still think that a 6 test is possible if LAC firms up here, excuse me. Entry, by the way, we were talking about focusing on entries. Entries was down at VWAP, so chasing this bounce also probably not a great idea.
And then thinking about it, that's a killer rate. It's actually, I think, better rate than what I've got for my house. But the utility company that's providing that, do you know? Is what I'm wondering. Because if it's a publicly traded company, I'd want to learn more about it.
I believe our Twitch handle is Benzinga. Producer, if you could confirm that for me for Cam here, that would be really appreciative. Or I would be appreciative is, I guess, how you're supposed to say that in English. I don't stream anymore personally. I used to stream Escape from Tarkov, but I haven't done that in a long time.
Were people hitting the like and subscribe?
On my Twitch stream? Not as much as I had hoped, but that's because I wasn't very good at the game and I kept getting my head blown off. So I guess they liked it for that. I died in some very funny ways in that game. It was a video game that we're talking about, folks.
Oh, ERCOT. Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thinking about it. I know what I need to know. I really do appreciate that.
That's what we do here. That's what we do here. So LAC here, it looks like this bounce might be slowing down here. Again, if you took that at the VWAP, I would make sure that you have some gains locked at some point. Lion here, 2 winners. Izzy, I think you scalped Amazon already. How's that doing, by the way? ONDS did pull out of the open. Had a great day yesterday, though. I don't want to write that one off yet.
Remember, Lithium America's float, 240 million. Just remember that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're totally fine. 300% gain on LAC. Well done.
Nice.
Well done. Looks like we're still probably coming back into the VWAP here, though.
Cyril, was that the did you pick that up in the pre-market, or was that off of the $5 support out of the open here? Because that worked out really well. Whoa.
What's up?
Look at IDAI. It's halted.
Uh-oh. Halted to the upside on volume. Let me bring that up here. IDAI. Okay, we'll take that. We'll take that. IDAI halted on. Did we have news on this?
I don't know. I just
yes, Wednesday, September 24th, Intel publishes an AI-focused brief covering trust stamp partnership.
Uh-oh. Could it be?
Oh, let's see what happens when this opens out a halt, because that's kind of thin.
Yeah. SHFS, speaking of halts, that's also halted, but to the downside. So this one didn't end up working out after that pop that we got that took it briefly back over VWAP. Next support area is going to be the 200 EMA. I have that at 712.
Okay. Good stuff there. Mac and Beats. Howdy, it's Cam, but except on Twitch. Well, welcome.
Sounds good, Lion. Well done. Taking profit on TTD. Supri is mentioning that TNFA is moving. That looks like it's moving. Well, it moved down out of that halt, it looks like, and then it found some support close to 450. Now it's trying to recapture 5.
Oh, did Benny, the old Mullen, do another split? When are they going to throw that company off the exchange?
Days might be numbered, but I agree. That thing, I really do feel like there should be a limit on
absolutely. They should do something. I mean,
because it's a continuous. It's going to be a continuous ATM. Look at some of these companies with these like multi-million valuations for what their stock used to be because they've reverse split it, but it currently trades at like $1. Like, come on, what are we doing here? This is just it's probably one of the greatest scams the market allows. All right, so QURE, we did have a push that tried to get us up to that 43.30, still rejected near that same area from earlier. So couldn't quite get to 43. We're losing the view up right now. Next support's going to be down at 35. Now, is Lithium America's turning around here or what? Are we going to see 6 still or what? Looks like
every time it tries to bounce here, it looks like they just bring in sellers and try and pound it.
Yeah. No, some folks were talking about Webull yesterday. That popped to 1445 out of the gate, dropped down to the 200 EMA, and now it's rebounding. Still not sure about where this goes quite yet. Seemed like it was doing pretty well with trying to make its way back up to 20, but after it hit 18, it didn't behave very well after that. What are we looking at next?
ATCH is penny stock. It looks like several of you are looking. Quantum is getting pounded. Quantum has been on a run that nobody really understood recently, so maybe that's just a regression to the mean.
You guys are talking about Fold Holdings yesterday. That's up 7%. That went right to the 200 EMA. Doesn't look like there's any volume in it right now, though. Iron, big pull here after hitting 48.12, losing VWAP as well. So if you got out before that, well done.
And that IDAI, we'll see what happens here when it unhalts from that Intel news. That was a big time news and a pop into a halt.
Yep. Yes, sir. All right. So we're getting some polling here on some of the space names as well. TNFA trying to, get back up to VWAP.
Tara, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine.
Tara here asking, Ryan, can you take a look and see a Rocket Lab, knowing that the housing market is going to have an update later? I think you mean Rocket, RKT, not Rocket Lab. That's the space stock.
I like that one, though. Ooh, even though it's having an awful day. Jeez.
Yeah, it's had a rough couple of days here. I think Tara's asking, Tara, I think are you asking where's the buy spot? I mean, this actually might be a support area, this 1950 area.
Let me see here, because $20 was the resistance, now turned support area. We just lost the 20, so the 20-day SMA, that's going to be the next area of resistance that I think I see here. Now I have a trend line here that we're coming down to. I don't know if you want to try and do it. Because we kind of draw through some other price action, but it's only because the line existed before the price action did. So if you want to do it yourself, you can start with the low from July 15th, draw it through the low of July 31st. And if you keep it going, you can see where we did have a couple of days where we printed beneath that and then came right back above it. Now we're coming down to test this trend line again. So I think if we lose this trend line, we're coming down to the 50-day SMA at $18.
Okay.
Long-term rates higher. That's kind of been the case so far since last week, since we got those rate cuts, is that they've still been, trending higher. So yeah, I mean, that's what we're getting right now. Mortgage rates still coming in.
SLI, this is another one of those lithium names that you had mentioned earlier. This higher looks like it's trying to bounce here. LAC, not really bouncing yet. We'll see if that changes.
It was STI that I mentioned because that was what.
It wasn't Standard Lithium. Okay,
it's okay though because STI is more on the battery side. They make the battery plays and they're more like the battery research company. Hey, no problem, Tara. I mean, Rocket Lab, like RKLB, I still like that company. And I think it's got a great future ahead of it. The key thing for that is that it needs to get their neutron rocket going. That's going to be the one that's going to be able to compete with SpaceX. Lithium America is trying to make another move for 6 right now.
Yeah, it sure is.
And Rocket Mortgage, that's the one that is on the mortgage side that Citron likes. And
high short interest on that too.
Yeah, say that has a lot going for it. So, all right, Lithium America, is you going to give us 6?
It's trying to work through a bunch of sell orders right here.
It certainly is. Absolutely. Absolutely. So while that does its thing, SHFS is down to the 200 EMA. We'll see if it gets support there. QURE back beneath $40. TNFA, this is reversing near the 440 area. It's down at the 15 EMA that it's reversing at, trying to recapture $5 and VWAP, but so far hasn't been able to do that. Kind of sideways for the moment. Webull is still whipping around, so I don't know if there's much there, except maybe it's a quick trade. Lithium America is still pushing higher. Might breach that 588 session high that we put in about 20 minutes ago.
588 is that high? We'll see if we get that break there. Working through some stuff. Oh, there we go. There's a break. There's a 590.
Nice. Let's go.
See if this. So we're thinking 6 here on this one.
6 is the next resistance area.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome thinking about it. I probably won't see that in my lifetime, but maybe Rocket Lab and Rocket Mortgage will have a collaboration in about 50 years.
That would be something.
That would be awesome.
Homes in space. Is that where's kind of where you're going for there? I mean, that would be.
How about this? You can put build a home on a rocket and rocket your home into space.
Oh, I'm sure that there's probably some safety concerns with that, I would guess.
That's why I said 50 years from now.
Yeah, no, I'm more joking than anything else.
Oh, so am I. Lithium America is still pushing higher here, trying to hit that $6 level. 593 is the high that I've got. Anyone trading Rigetti puts? That's Frank. And then Pretty Panda wants to let us know that Saudi's trying to pump XPON.
I would actually love to catch Rigetti, Frank. I don't know if I'm gonna. Man, I tell you what, it's down 2% here. What puts are you looking at, Frank? Just out of curiosity. On Rigetti, here's LAC. We'll see if we get a 6 bust here.
If we get a 6 print, it's probably going to come right back in, but with this volume. I mean, we need to see this volume really expand, and we're not getting that. So I think if we do get that 6 print, it's probably
IDAI, dude. It opened, it popped, and it halted again.
Oh boy.
LAC cannot quite break 6 yet. Looks like it backed off that spot.
Yep, right to 599 and backed off. That's a little kind of what I was.
Smoke Tune, are you saying LAC is going to flush if it hits 610? With that comment, I'm just trying to understand it. And let's actually take a look at this IDAI news. Webcoin, I think you were saying, who was this earlier? Webcoin, IDAI, they're just using Intel chips is how I read it. Let's take a look at this real fast. You guys can let me know what LAC is doing. I feel like the trade was at VWAP, not necessarily trying to trade an upside break here, but
yeah. And I was mentioning how it was looking like it was having a hard time even getting to 6. It's right there now. I mean, it could break, but we need to see that volume expand, and might not have that enough volume to do it. But let's take a look here with the T-stamp here. AI focused brief covering trusted partnership.
Here we go on LAC, possible 6 break here. There's size there at 6 if they take it. They're hitting it. There's a lot of size there. I'm not in this, by the way. I'm just watching it. I'm trying to read this PR, but I keep getting distracted by the LAC action off screen here. We'll see if that goes through 6 here. I don't have a trade on it. It's not a big deal.
There's a really nice paragraph in there that really does interest me.
That lays out the facial biometrics and the detection.
How it's designed for scalability and speed, and
it
minimizes latency model. I mean, if it's going to make, here we go, we got a 6 print in Lithium America. If this thing it does everything it says it's going to do, it could be awesome. It could be awesome.
This could be pretty huge. And really quickly, I think one of the things we're seeing a big move here on this. It's only 2 million shares in the float. This thing can really get going.
Yeah. All right. So while that stays halted, I'm going to go back and look at some of these other names. Looking at SHFS, that's come down to its 200 EMA. Still hasn't fallen beneath it. Looking at that area of support, but I think if we start losing this, all right, we're right there right now. If we start losing this, we're probably not going to get support for a little bit further of a ways down. Probably not until about under 6.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm waiting for. Is he asking any trades? No, haven't seen a good setup yet. Best one was on LAC. Did not add at the VWAP. We'll wait for that one. I think we might actually get another opportunity in that. I will say though, in some of the, like you had called Ondas selling off, that's bouncing here. In IDAI here have been for a couple of days. Been actually adding this for a couple of weeks. Had a really good Had a really good breakdown on this from a gentleman in the happy hour. Supri made money on LAC. That's what I want to hear. Good job on that. That not easy. That impulse move had a bunch of FOMO. Pullback to the VWAP was pretty good. Let's see if we get the 6 break here.
Bull finally moved out of that sideways consolidation it's been in since the pre-market. Now we're printing a new session high, 1458.
Raj, we were talking, the stock that could really get going here that we were talking about is IDAI. Please understand that we were talking about adding that under 3. So we're now $1 plus above the entry price that we talked about. So again, just kind of sticking to the theme here. You really don't want to chase this name. Nice to see one of these names reacting though.
Webel, by the way, we are at the highs that it got to yesterday. 1461 was the high, double topped intraday. So really didn't come back after that. Now we're up back here in this today's regular session, trading back up to the same area. So could anticipate some resistance here, but just watch the order flow, watch the your price matrix, your price ladder, or whatever it is it's called in your broker, and you'll see if those sellers are still in the way.
This is unbelievable. LAC popped 6. This is unbelievable.
Nice.
Keep pulling here. No, this is the unbelievable part. LAC popped 6 and traded up to 609 and then pulled back. Now it didn't necessarily flush. Tuna, I think that you were talking about a flush from 610. Boy, it went to 609 and pulled back. Now it looks like it's pulling a little bit more. A retest here of the VWAP would be amazing. Here we go. Here's the flush. Tuna, dude. Hold on. Really good call on that, Tuna. It did flush from 609. Did not quite print 610, but that's okay. Now that we're pulling here, let's see if this exhausts some sellers around the support area, and then we might actually have a tradable setup as opposed to just trying to chase something. Patience, baby. Patience.
That's what doctors say.
IDAI still halted here. Tom was asking, what's the story with IDAI? Verification and, basically just determining if someone is who they say they are. There's actually some of the explanation in here. Trust Stamp's AI-powered identity platform transforms traditional authentication, good Lord, and advanced facial biometrics, liveness detection, and privacy-preserving tokenization. So this is a play on increased security for all of the different things that we're talking about: Bitcoin, banking, AI, all of that stuff. Digital verification and identification is the IDAI story here. We have over 100 financial institutions enrolled in our orchestration layer. We need to deliver flexible, low-friction solutions to minimize latency. The thing about the bank total addressable market here is, I think, one of the reasons that IDAI is so attractive. If all of the banks adopted this thing would reprice much, much higher. Now, we don't know that that's going to happen, but that's part of the thesis here.
Rocket reversed on the new home sales data. It's trying to recapture the 20-day SMA. Knock on the door of 20.
Shout out to the producer. He threw that new home sales data, or the new home data, on the screen there. I know I was in the middle of doing something else when that data print came out. Still beneath 6, by the way, LAC. Ondis bouncing, pretty much recapturing everything. Only down 1.5% now.
I'm a little bummed that I didn't get my order filled with IDAI yesterday. I had an order out to add more at 290. We were like 4 cents shy of that.
So what's so funny about that? I did too, because my price was was 293, and I was like, if this trades down, I'll probably add around 290. And in the pre-market, I saw a little bit of stock hanging out at 294. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to add a couple hundred shares here at that, and then it popped, and now it's doing this. So sometimes better to be lucky than good.
Look at thinking about its comment, man. You are now joining the party thinking about it.
Yeah, we called T-stamp tramp stamp for the longest time. When this thing was a penny and it hadn't been reversed and it was trading like garbage, we joked here about that being tramp stamp. It looks like now they might be legit.
And Michelle, I'm glad that you're here to starting to understand all this, and this is great learning. Understand, we're going to want you to come back here as much as possible to keep learning. Nobody's going to get this in one day. There's a lot to get used to and to experience. So I'm glad that you're learning. Please keep coming back and continue to search out education in the stock market. This is
That goes for everyone, by the way, 13. Like even Tuna and Lion, even people that are seasoned veterans and have been doing this for a long time, you never stop learning in this business. That process never ends. So keep that thirst for knowledge and adding new tools to your toolbox. Keep that going. It will continue to benefit and pay dividends down the road.
Absolutely.
Deft, this is the one that Izzy mentioned here. This was an Eric Jackson pick. Deft, that's DeFi technology. This at the highs here actually looks like it's trying to take out the pre-market high.
Let's see, and it's right up at the 200-day SMA. Very important moving average.
I didn't buy this, Izzy. I didn't buy this, but I'm interested in it. Those Eric Jackson picks, even if they're just short-term trades, they go.
And you know, this could end up trading a lot better if we get a close above that 200-day SMA. So look for that today. We need to close over 283.
Never stop learning. That's why I cited you, Lion. I knew that you would agree with that. I knew that you would. It doesn't matter how old you are, the fact that you own a restaurant, or the fact that you've been trading for a long time. If you constantly have that urge to learn more, it will benefit you down the road. Both my parents were teachers, so perhaps I'm biased. They drilled into me that to be successful in your life, you need to be a lifelong learner. It doesn't necessarily matter what you pick. It matters that you keep trying to refine that. You keep trying to learn. I carry their teachings forward here.
PJ Trader is mentioning SoundHound. Remember that had some news yesterday with, I believe it was Red Lobster. Yeah, AI-powered phone ordering with Red Lobster. So that new CEO at Red Lobster is really embracing, his younger style and getting Red Lobster moved into the 21st century. It seems this also has some pretty heavy short interest. SoundHound, 32% of the float shorted, 2.25 days to cover. But this looks like it's on its way to revisiting $25. If you look at a daily chart, it has a really nice rounding out happening here to it, and we're getting into the area where it's going to need to get some a good amount of volume, because I don't think we're going to go much, very far into 20 if we don't get better volume.
IDAI is open. Looks like it printed a high of 480. So pretty good stuff here with IDAI so far.
Let's see where this goes.
A lot of really great comments here. Izzy here, Ryan, 22 years. My wife is an English teacher. Nice. That's awesome. Jane saying my two sisters are teachers. Raj is asking where Eric Jackson posts his trades. We cover them sometimes in news articles, but it's really his Twitter account. Trout Bum. Oh, I love this. I'm 75. I've been trading 20 years and I'm still learning. Giddy up. Education never ends. The market is ever changing. We should be learning with it always. Yes. Facts. 100%. This is why we have the good group, because y'all are smart.
And take care, Lion. Have a great day. It sounds like you already did.
Indeed.
And that's the great thing about the news. There's always something happening in the world that we can always find out about.
Absolutely.
That's what keeps me going. It's you know how books have endings. Unless the world ends tomorrow, we don't have an ending.
That's right. And we're always writing it day after day. IDAI flirting with 450 here.
Rocket 20.
Rocket back to 20. So we want to recapture that support that you talked about, right? That's going to be important.
We do. We did get a little bit of a bounce off that trend line. We are back above the 20-day SMA. Keep in mind, we still have a whole day left of trading, so it's no guarantee that we're going to hold above this trend line. I'm sorry, above this moving average or recapture 20. But so far, it looks pretty good here. Just need to see what we end up getting throughout the rest of the day.
Smita here. I love this comment too. By trading, I'm learning a lot more about technology, the economic world, and emotional control. That all three of those things are true for me as well. I learn about things that I didn't even really know about from talking with others that have areas of expertise and all of that. It's a constant process. You can really, I believe that this job, especially when I look at my own list of jobs that I've had over the course of my life, this job has taught me more about myself than anything else, to be quite honest with you. Learning habits about myself, both good and bad, and then being able to get better from that.
And we're on the as to quote some folks in happy hour, we're at the front lines of the financial world here. We see what what's trading, we see what's happening before the rest of the nation gets to experience it. So we were trading and learning about NVIDIA and AI long before anybody even that conversation about AI was even happening.
Yeah.
So we're all early to these things, folks. So
IDAI, this is halted for a third time, this time to the downside. I am not trading this back and forth. I was building a position. I was not quite at a full position either. In fact, I'm only at about a third of a position that I would like to have on this. I'm not trading it. So I'm not, I'm holding it from lower here. So I want to see where this ends up settling. But again, wouldn't chase this. This halted to the downside now at $4.
We were getting level is looking much better, looking like it's trying to go for 15. Mama Bear mentioning open door though.
And Aura Alpha mentioning Intel, which actually looks like it might be trying to take its high out here.
Fantastic.
Here, you wanted to check on open door?
Yeah, open door looks like that might go to like a little bit beyond 8, like 820, 822, where the 500, where the not 500 days, maybe where the kind of where the support and resistance area was from earlier this week. Like all day Tuesday in the pre-market and everything, 820 was the resistance area. We had some prints above it, but no closes, and then we just never saw that area again until we're approaching it today. So 820 looks like it's a resistance area.
Tess, I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks that. It is extremely rewarding and not just for profits. I listen again, I kind of listen to a lot of those Joe Rogan podcasts, and he talks a lot about, problems are corporations that prioritize profits over everything else and step on people and all of that. And I don't dispute that. But the way I look at profit is that it's not just a financial thing. Like if I help somebody else out and their life is better, even if it's just marginal, to me, that's emotional profit. I look at profit as just getting better. It doesn't have to be the size of your wallet. It can be anything. And so I that's one of the reasons why we run the show the way that we run it here and all of that stuff. So good stuff all around.
Fold still climbing.
This show teaches me a lot about Ryan too, thinking about it. I don't know if that's a good thing. What ticker were you looking at?
FLD still climbing. 368 is the current high. It's been on the recovery since it dropped and bottomed out down in the 320s. So might find some resistance around here, maybe even more as it approaches 375. Because as you look at what happened 2 days ago on Monday, this is kind of the area where it's bottoming out before. So now that's resistance, especially in the after hours where things went sideways. All that there is going to be resistance for the current price action.
Carl says, you're too nice, Ryan. I've been told that a million times in my life. It's just how I go about life. I prefer, it's so much less energy to be nice to people than to be angry all the time. Makes me feel so much better. It's just how it goes. That's also one of the things that, like, if I give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but if you really F up, especially if you're intending to deceive or lie, that's generally where my patience runs a little thin. Enos is asking, when will news about MBOT stock come? Bro, if I knew that, I would probably be loading ahead of that news. I don't know.
What's the expected news with MBOT?
I don't know.
Microbot Medical. I wonder if this is one of those bloodstream type robotics, where they have machines so small you can just send them into a person, they go and do the surgery, repair, or whatever it is. I don't know if that's what this is, but when I see Microbot Medical, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
ET3 is saying, what does a full position mean to you? This is a really good question. So full positions, it really depends on what it is. Is this an investment? Is this a trade? Is it a day trade? It can be based on amount of shares or also just total capital laid out. Generally speaking, for investments, a full position is probably somewhere around 15 to 20,000, I would say. depending on what it is. Obviously, a company like Apple, which I've been invested in for a long time, and it's grown so much, that investment is worth more than 20,000. You trim that a little bit here and there. Swing trade, it's a little bit different than that, probably closer to 5,000, maybe somewhere between 5 and 10,000 worth of total position. Day trade can really range. I actually do more on day trading in terms of share size, just because if I'm only trying to get 10 cents, well, then I pretty much only want to allow 3 cents to the downside, right? So then I kind of stack my share, the amount of shares that I have kind of based on that. So it really depends on the type of trade. The other thing about that is that everyone is different, right? I'm not a millionaire. I don't have millions of dollars in my trading account. Someone that does probably looks at a starter position around 10K, you know?
Everyone's
different.
I got some more information on MBOT. You can find out more about its recent FDA approval for its Microbot Medical's Liberty product. Today, when Benzinga's All Access at 10:45 Eastern interviews the Chief Executive Officer, Harel, Gadot. So probably get your information then.
Yeah, so we have an all access here for MBOT. That might have been what he's asking about. So if that's what you were asking about, I have an answer for you. The MBOT segment that we have coming up on All Access today happens at 10:45.
Yeah, and so they also had some news yesterday about their FDA clearance for their Liberty robotic system. So if this is something that interests you, certainly tune in at 10:45 Eastern this morning. We'll get some information from the CEO himself.
Roadhog. So we're waiting for Gadot. I get the joke. Some of us are, it would appear. Here is a look at MBOT ahead of that. Looks like we do have kind of a double top here around 370. But see, here's the thing, Samel, that's all dependent upon your own risk tolerance. If you only have 20 or 30 grand, you probably shouldn't be putting 15 in one position. I mean, you would have to feel really good about that. Oh, that's all different. And the other thing is that the other thing that factors into that is like my emotional capacity. Like if I over lever myself in something and it starts going against me, I know that I'm going to be opened up to making emotional decisions because I probably have too much. Those levels that I gave you, all of that should be very, very personal. All of it should be very, very personal. Tailor it to your own account, your own risk curve, and your own capital.
QURE might be recapturing VWAP and trying to make a move over 40 right now. This is trading into what it seems like an ascending triangle. And if that's the case, this is setting up to go higher. I'd say ascending triangle. It might be more of a pennant, but it keeps hammering this $43 area, even with a slightly higher print. So I'm thinking that this $43 area could be a potential breakout spot. Volume needs to be a lot better, though, if we're going to get beyond that price. All right, so IDAI is open now. It's down back in the 3 handle for the time being, trying to recapture VWAP. I mean, this is probably something that's going to, end up doing a lot better later
Which
on
one?
today.
Which?
IDAI.
Oh, IDAI. Sorry. Tuna here says, Ryan, been watching since COVID. Amazing to see you grow into the main host. Hard work pays off. Indeed, it does. But the other thing that's going on there is that, very much like Anne-Marie said on the webinar last night, I have an extreme passion for this. Not only for the companies that we're talking about in the trading, but like just my own financial future. Like, I firmly believe that nobody cares more about your financial future than yourself. And the great thing about this job is that if you put in work and you learn things, you can actively have a hand in increasing your financial future there. And I just think that's so cool, and that everyone should be involved in that. As far as the host thing, so speaking of that, got some news here for you. We're going to have a little bit of a programming change on Thursdays going forward here. We're actually going to have, speaking of hosts, we're actually going to have David Green and Peter Tuchman guest hosting on Thursday. We're going to try and bring you some futures news, futures trading, and maybe expand our pool of tradable things here. And we're going to try to go to experts that can give us some insights for that. Now, I know what you might be thinking. No, 13 is not going anywhere. 13 is staying here. He is a main part of what we do. And when Peter and David are on, 13 is still going to be in the chat. We're going to bring him on after they're done as well. And that's only on Thursday. So that's only tomorrow.
Yep. I'll be in the chat mentioning all these movers, and
we're still going to be looking at movers. We're still going to be looking at the same thing. We're going to try, as I say all the time, we're going to try and add tools to the toolbox. I'm not an expert on futures. I would like to bring in some people that are more knowledgeable on that and see if we can't kind of expand our horizons, if you will, to some more things. So should be awesome. IDAI recapturing 4 here.
Mm-hmm.
Good call on that, this being better in the day too.
Mm-hmm.
So just to be clear, I've made no buys and no sells on IDAI. I've actually been adding to this over the past several weeks. We've been talking about it both here and in the happy hour show. No buys or sells here today, just kind of holding and seeing where this all shakes out. I do like what I'm seeing, though, just to be clear.
Oh, yeah. Got to mention about LEU. Marty C is mentioning LEU long. This has really come down today, so I don't know if he's referring to a position that he took for a trade or investment, but it certainly has come down. I think it may continue to come down a little bit more. I would anticipate a third, day of selling, even one so much that could back test the trend line that we drew. That would be actually great if it did that, because that would, be a pretty good spot to look for a reversal and to take it higher over 320. Not going to be buying. This is a really expensive stock up here for a trade or an investment. So even if I do, it's probably not going to be a very large position, but certainly want to see this back test the trend line. That'd be a good technical back test. You want to load up on copper, Cyril? I don't know if we've got all the copper names to come in enough yet. Well, maybe. Freeport just had an ugly day. I think they had earnings. No, they didn't have earnings. They had some kind of update on their Q3 expectations. That must be it. They issued Q3 sales guidance. They expect it to be lower for copper and lower for gold than the estimates from July. So selling off on that. Maybe there's your opportunity there if you're looking to take a copper position. There's FCX. There's a number of other ones that might be better too.
FCX had a mine accident. That might have flown. Is that why it's down 10.5% here?
If it's a mine accident, then I was only reading about the Q3 expectations. Oh, yes, you're right.
Yes, 2. Okay, here's the news. Also, the company reported that 2 PT Freeport Indonesia team members were fatally injured. Oh, that is terrible. Fatally injured from the Grasberg Block cave mine and rush incident that 5 team members remain missing. Okay, Aura Alpha saying that this is old news. That might be the case. It's terrible nonetheless, and FCX is clearly responding to that here today. By the way, LAC, real quick, we were talking about being patient, kind of waiting some of this stuff out. Here we go. LAC back down to the VWAP. Does it hold right here? I've got 560 as that VWAP. 560.
Yeah, I'm reading that this. He's right. That news is like from way earlier this month.
Okay, thank you, Aura. Thank you. And thank you for confirming that, 13. Still, though, FCX getting pounded.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what. So back to what I was saying about their Q3 guidance. That certainly seems like that's the reason why it's down right now.
Okay. Good stuff there, team. Good stuff going through all of that.
Those option premiums at LEU are insane. How much are they? They're probably like thousands.
The options on LEU?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that stock.
All right, let's see. We're getting a lot of selling here, and some of these.
Actually, LEU lost 300. Yeah, those options are not cheap. The at the money October contract is $28. 28.70 ask. Mark is probably closer to 27.
Pretty good here. No, don't see anything I'm really interested in right now. It seems like a lot of these movers that we were trading this morning are just all kind of pulling right now.
Yeah, LAC here. It so far has held 560. This bounce is less than impressive. Okay. As soon as I said that, it started bouncing more. So we'll blame me for that.
I think I still would exercise caution with LAC. Remember, this one has a very large float. The MACD is starting to indicate that it could roll over. I think I'd be patient with this one. And if that's wrong, then you know what? I haven't made money, but I haven't lost it either. But if I buy here and it starts to go south on me, not gonna be happy about that.
No, absolutely. And the other thing is, if you think to yourself, well, I could buy it here, trade it against the VWAP, they just might flush your stop. Then that might be all that happens.
Yeah, I think the better support might come down around 540, but again, the float on this thing is just really, really heavy. It's going to be difficult to get it back up to these numbers with how large it is. So I don't know that we're going to see 6 right away. It might happen later today if it does at all. But for now, I'm thinking that this is going to lose its VWAP.
Okay. Real quickly here, Lambo Rolls says, I got in IDAI the other day. Really happy about this. I thought I might have to hold for a long time. Let us know what your trade plan is, Lambo Rolls. And also, if you feel you need to tip, I'd love a ride in the Lambo. I'd love a ride in the Lambo at some time. Just throwing it out there.
But for now, just go ahead and hit that like. We'll take that as well.
Yeah. JJ, Ryan, do you know the new symbol for Octo? Yes, that's Orbs. Okay, ORBS is the ticker there. They did a ticker change. We actually talked about it the morning that it did that. The old Octo stock ticker ORBS, 8Co Holdings. You're saying we're missing the move in IREN. Boy, we have been covering IREN all morning. We did set some new highs, so we might have just missed this one here, but we talked about IREN. We actually had IREN pegged, by the way, when this pulled back to the VWAP. That actually gave us a bounce there.
Yeah. What's the plan here with IREN? I mean, folks that are in it, because this thing is just taken off and it's very extended, and I'm wondering if anybody's going to be holding this and hoping for higher prints, or if they're good with the near 50 print they're getting and they're taking profit. I'm just curious what the plan is, because we're still reaching new all-time highs in this blue sky breakout that it's had since 28. Wow.
Tesla, by the way, so I almost can't even believe we haven't mentioned Tesla here. I do see call sweeps coming across the wire here. Tesla is at the highs. This is actually having a pretty nice day here today. I would watch this area here, maybe 440. If it takes it out, maybe that clears the path for some more room higher.
Simo, you own IREN. You're thinking of trimming today. That sounds like a good idea. I mean, pay yourself on the way up. We're in uncharted territory here with IREN. I don't know where this goes. Maybe y'all do, but man, this had a massive move. Even if you traded the breakout from the previous all-time high that was set back in November of 2021, you're still like you're almost you're getting pretty close to 2x, and you're just $8 away from that. I mean, this has just been a massive move. Just kind of wondering if y'all are going to take the some gains on this, because it's getting pretty extended.
X Sniper says, Ryan, what's the 10-bagger price you're looking for on IDAI? Okay, before I even give that to you, because I could throw out crazy targets till the cows come home. Before I give that to you, here's the reality. I'm probably going to trade chunks of this prior to the price that I'm about to give you. That means that if we have a huge run, if this thing goes to 8 today, I'm selling some. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I'm not going to sell all of it. I will sell some of it. I have enough to where I can kind of part this out. But the 10-bagger price, there's a world where this thing goes to $50 plus. I don't know when. I don't know if it's going to happen fast. But there's a world where this thing, I think, can go to $50 plus. Now, that won't, my first sale, my entry is not going to be around 3 and then selling at 50. I will be selling this on the way up. That's just risk management. You got to do it. But the trailer piece on there, or the piece that I'm leaving after I make some money for a big outsized move, honestly, with the way things are going with blockchain and AI and fakes and all of this, verification is going to be extremely important in many, many sectors. And if their product is actually a leader, and we caught this thing early, I mean, I don't want to blow sunshine up anyone's rear end here, but sky could literally be the limit on this. Please do not buy this thinking Ryan said buy this and it's going to go to 50, because that may never happen. That may never happen. I'm talking about IDAI right now. It was this question. I'm sorry, I should have put it on the screen. It was, where is that? It was X Sniper's question right here.
QRE still hitting that VWAP and that $40
Empyrean's just joshing me. Too late. I'm all in already. You guys should know better than that right now. You should never go all in on anything.
Yeah, QURE is approaching that $40 area. Volume's really low. It could get rejected there. Remember, we are 1 minute away from the 10:30 time where people get up and start getting away from their computers, going and getting that trader brunch going on. Start talking to their friends about all the great trades they made. So volume's going to dry up here for the time being until the afternoon.
Cut. Rocket pulling back pretty substantially. Apple at the lows. Tesla bucking the trend, though, with the NASDAQ as that continues to grind higher here. That's Tesla, TSLA. That's also showing relative strength versus the NASDAQ, which is back down to flat after being green earlier. IDAI halted again to the downside now, 393.
Some people want it to get out.
Sold my last Lambo, but you can roll with me in my rolls anytime. Okay, that's a, you know, I used to work for a catering company, and I was one of the only people that could drive a stick shift car. So sometimes at some of these big parties that were for wealthy individuals, the valet company wouldn't show up or they would be late. And as a result, they had to say, hey, who can drive stick shift cars and park these? And I was like, yeah, this guy right here. That Ferrari Spider, I'll put that in the lot. That won't be a problem at all. Never actually driven a Rolls, though. Do you have the one that has like the custom star field on the roof? I've seen that before. Never in person, but I've seen that before. It's crazy.
We're still getting some upside movement here in MSOS. Been keeping an eye on that since we had that one stock. SHFS. We got news of that. So even though SHFS is not having a great day, still piquing some interest in the cannabis names, it seems.
Daniel, bring that register on IDAI. Great trade, buddy. Great trade. Looking for 480. Boy, you almost got that. 481 was your high print. We didn't quite get back there. Good job booking gains, though. That's what we wanted to see.
Amir's questioning if the interview with the CEO for MBOT is here. And
yes, it's going to be on this stream. It's going to be on this stream. You need about 15 more minutes, man. Just sit tight.
Looks like Lithium America is still trying to make a push for that $6 area. It's really, really slowly and not on great volume. So be careful with that one. SHFS trying to turn around. This one might actually be curling. That's something to watch for later on. MACD looks like it's trying to give it a curl. We're getting some support from the 200 EMA. As long as we kind of hold that, it looks like we could get a turnaround here. It at least takes us back up to VWAP. So we'll see if that ends up happening. QURE still trying to hit that $40 spot. Looks like SLNH, one of the ones we traded earlier this week. That went up to 258. It's up there for the second time today. A lot of sellers at 259. So this is something you're still trading. Be careful with that one.
Just going to look through some of the other tickers here on the list. Actually, this DBGI, this actually looks like maybe through 6 might give you something there. Tesla is still seeing some call sweeps as this holds near the high.
Joseph Schmo for a re-entry point for Micron. I look, there's certain levels that look good for a trade. If you're looking for a longer term investment, I'm not sure I'd be buying up here. We're still pretty elevated. So I don't think that I'd be necessarily buying in the 160s. There might be some opportunity down beneath 150, but even then, I don't want to get caught in the middle of a market downturn. It seems to me like 130 seems to be like the best spot that has the most support, because it's been previously a resistance area earlier this year, and we just broke out of it earlier this month. So I think I would prefer 130, but I don't know where the big support area is going to be for the stock, and I wouldn't want to buy it up here. So sorry, I couldn't give you a better answer. Short term for me, 157. I could see how that would make sense, but long term, I don't know, because like that 157 area, that's back from the highs from June last year.
We gave out a trade on the Anne-Marie segment yesterday. So if you actually want to take a look at her charting and see where some of those long-term areas are, you can always watch the replay from yesterday. Skip ahead to about the last half hour. She actually gives away a Micron trade that is up, by the way, overnight, up.
Yeah, and Joseph Schmo, I'm right there with you. I think it would be better to serve you if you remained a little bit cautious in this current environment that we're in, with things ripping to ridiculous valuations, all-time highs, market getting a little shaky, just a lot of things happening right now that doesn't really make me think it's the best time to be buying some stocks, especially ones that have been flying high lately. Better to sell. Looks like Lithium America's tapped 6 again.
IDAI is open and moving a little bit lower from that 4 handle. Here's your Lithium America's chart. Looks like that's going to try and break 6 again. We'll see if we have the strength to do that this time.
Remember, it's got that big float.
That's right.
And this is we don't have the volume that we were getting earlier today either right now. So just keep that in mind. A little back off of MSOS, QURE, not able to get above 40.
ABAT, this is another one of those battery plays, still holding higher here near that impulse high. We'll see if 5 gets tested again.
Let me see here. I'm going to look at Max and watch. Let's see what's moving today.
I think with all of the hoopla that's going on, I'm not even sure we took a look at NVIDIA here today. NVIDIA basically flat here today.
Yeah, a lot of these don't look like they're doing a whole bunch right now.
ALAB down 10% here on ALAB. I don't have any fresh news on this. Don't have any fresh news on this, Dr. Manred.
That went down and got support from the August 13th high. So that high was 199.47. Today we went down to $200.62. So about $1.15 away or so. This thing has really come back in since it hit the high last week.
Here was that island formation that we kind of back tested. That was all the way back at 162. Ended up going to 256. My God, that would have been great. ALAB. Riot calls? Yep, Riot calls. We talked about this one earlier. How's Riot doing here? Okay, so still near the highs there on some of those. Izzy, that's up to you whether or not you're going to buy it. My average price on this is $2.94. So at this point now, with this being $1 higher, I'm not really kind of looking to add until it comes in, probably.
RCAT dumped hard.
RCAT had a rough day yesterday, didn't it?
No, it had a good day that turned out to be okay.
No, it's had a couple of good days in a row. Okay, so this came in recently.
But it could have had a reversal.
I must have been thinking about something else. No, this is not the stock that I was talking about. It kind of gave that back, but now it's actually going lower here. Okay.
Rejected at that trend line that we drew.
Oh, I might not even have that on here.
Yeah, you draw it from the January high through the July high. You can see that we moved over.
I gotcha. Here. I'm actually just going to adjust this. Look at this.
Yeah,
boom. 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 Great job.
Got the print all the way up to over 13, but then we came back down and closed beneath the trend line again. So that trend line certainly giving it some problems, but it looks to me like $10 might be a support. It's going to be a support area if the price continues to come back in. That was previously resistance area until September 11th. You also have the 20 and 50-day SMAs just underneath that as well. So looking like $10, maybe just a little bit slightly lower, could be some good support there.
Aura saying, I miss Carmen when I see RCAT. Me too. Can anyone do a wellness check on Carmen? I haven't seen her in a long time. I know she was holding RCAT for 100.
Cardalytics getting mentioned by JGP. Citron Research is mentioning. He mentioned Citron Research in this.
Which one? CDLX?
Yeah, they posted on X. They expect this to go much higher. Citron does.
All right. Citron Research, Adweek just validated the company's open platform shift. Expect a flurry of price targets much higher. This is not a meme, not a dream, not a cash burning machine. It's a company rising from the dead, positioned positioned as a direct beneficiary of AI and privacy tailwinds. That's CDLX on a Citron tweet.
It sounds kind of similar to T-Stamp.
It does, kind of.
It sounds kind of similar. I think we're going to start to get into some authentication. Gosh, hold on a second. I had another stock here that I was looking. Okay, look. No, is that the one? Hold on. Give me a second. Let me double check something.
It's okay. Slow it down there. Deep breaths. CDLX basically at yesterday's intraday high. Conditionally accepted. We like Citron. We pay attention and we report Citron news because we often see stocks moving on the back of it. And we like that for sure. I don't know Andrew Left myself personally. I've seen him on CNBC and all that. Clearly, when they tweet about stocks, it makes the stock move. And as a result, we're absolutely going to need to follow that. Webcoin saying that the float's a bit high. This one just about 45.5 million.
There it is. Okay, so it's not moving. So yeah, there was another one of those identity stocks that I looked at previously, and I was just going back to see if it was moving on any of this news that we're getting out of, well, now CDLX and of course T-Stamp. It was YOU. This was Clear Secure, and this one could be interesting. It's it's kind of at a double top area that it just hit, so we could see this back off. The short interest is kind of high, 30% of the float shorted with over 9 days to cover. So might be a good idea, might not. But I just was bringing this up because we have CDLX and IDAI moving today on authentication and identity software. So
yep.
This is something very similar. It's already being used. So I think it bears with watching if this is going to start to be a theme. MBOT is moving. Getting ready for the
interview, which starts pretty soon.
Yeah, they are moving up a little bit here. What's the volume look like on MBOT?
Not very high. 2.29 versus 3.7 average, so it's probably going to trade above its average, but
a little bit of a trend here on the daily chart. See it? Could be breaking. Could be breaking out of that. I wouldn't use today's candle. I'd use the one before it.
Yeah, we're gonna do this basically.
Okay. All right. So there's MBOT. Potential trend break. MACD on the daily is curling up. So maybe there's going to be a breakout at that 467, or there could be a triple top. It just depends on what happens the day that it gets up there. What the news will be. Looks like CDLX is still trying to move up, clearing the 200 EMA on the daily chart.
Ooh. Big move up. Nice volume. Nice pump.
Yeah, I think that's what I would call it too. And bought long is the play probably. What's up?
13. Yeah. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to move over to all access here very shortly. We're going to cover MBOT. We do have story trading scheduled for later today, but from what I understand, I'm not sure what their schedule is. So if you wouldn't mind being available just in case we need some more, Phil.
Sure.
Beautiful.
Hey, Ron.
Beautiful. That way we can guarantee you content today.
Is it me or you feel tired of not trading? I don't know if tired's the word I would use. I think maybe there is a little bit of a hint of anxiety coming up. Like I feel like I should be trading something with how things are moving, but we're not going to force trades. We're not going to
right.
actively try to lose money here. So hey, it's like I said, this is the SAT. Sometimes no answer is a good answer. I use Webull. I prefer to switch it. I'm still looking into that, but I use Webull.
IDAI back above 4.
Damn, look at Intel. What's Intel doing? Almost at 31. Nice. Would like to see this get back to 40.
All right. 13, let's move over to all access. Let's give the people what they want. Let's talk about MBOT here. We'll send that over to Dan. Any closing words for the group here today?
Well, folks, if I don't see you later on this morning, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. It was a pretty nice little morning here with some of these movers and going through some of the news. Always fun to do some live research with y'all. So I will be back here later if they need me. If not, then I will see you tomorrow. After we have the futures
segment.
The futures segment. Yep. So until then, folks, have a good rest of your day.
And he'll be in the chat during it. So if you folks want to talk movers, 13 ain't going to let you down. We can promise you that. 13, really great stuff as always, my man. Take care here. Really quickly, before I move to Dan, AI Rod, one of our longtime viewers, not too sure if you guys did a wellness check on me. I can't do wellness checks. I can't find who you guys are from your YouTube handle, FYI. My family almost passed away in a freak whitewater rafting accident, but I'm back now. Well, gosh, dude, I am so glad that you and your family are back. I'm sorry that happened. Bless up. You have another opportunity here. Glad to have you back, AI Rod. We're going to see you tomorrow. For right now, though, y'all know what time it is. I'm going to bring on our betting extraordinaire, Dan Leach. Dan, how you doing here today?
Listen, another day, another dollar. By the way, I'm going to send a bunch of life jackets to AI Rod. That's good news.
That's what I said. When I read that, I was like, there's no way I can pass over that. So I'm sorry for being late here. But my God, how lucky are we? Yeah, exactly.
Great stuff. But no, it's good to see you. Another huge week for the Squatch. Listen, my Lions stunned the nation. My Tigers are blowing the division, even though I've got a 33-1 ticket on the Guardians. So I'm not mad about that. But what a time to be alive, my friend.
Absolutely. I'll be the first to say, though, I was the first person that called that the Lions' loss against the Packers was way more about the Lions' rust than anything else. Everyone called me crazy. Nobody wanted to listen to me. And I'm just sitting over here fixing my collar.
Ryan, you're extremely smart, almost as smart as me, so they should always listen to you. Secondly, Lions had 2 new coordinators. They lost Ben Johnson and obviously Aaron Glenn to head coaching jobs. It was week number 1.
Yep.
And it's going to take some time. And you look what Kelvin Shepard's defense did to Lamar Jackson. 7 sacks. I don't think he's ever been sacked 4 times in a load 7.
I was going to say that's a record.
Yeah, Morton's offense, and the Lions had tons of weapons. Listen, I'm not trying to say the Lions are winning the Super Bowl, but I will tell you right now, if you want to play for today, Lions, Bills, and Zach Super Bowl matchup, 20-1. Bet it now because it's going way down after the next couple weeks.
Okay, Dan, that's awesome. Thanks for giving a teaser. We are going to get you on. Maybe next week we'll talk a little bit about some betting stuff. You're awesome. But we've got something big right now. We got to talk about this. And we got a whole bunch of people in the chat that are ready for this MBOT interview. I'm not even going to prep it. I'm going to get out of your hair. Tell us what we're about to see.
Oh, it's going to be sick. Couldn't be more excited. Hey, Zingers, and welcome to All Access. I've got a fantastic guest for you today. It is Harel, Gadot, the chairman, CEO, and president of Microbot Medical. Their NASDAQ ticker is MBOT. He is joining us for an exclusive talk today. All Access starts right now. And it is my true pleasure to welcome back in the chairman, CEO, and president of Microbot Medical, Harel Gadot. Great to be with you today.
Great to be here. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Hey, the people are excited, so let's give them what they want. Let's get started with this. And I want to ask you, Harel, I know that endovascular procedures are a preferred method to treat many vascular conditions, including, of course, those that affect the arteries and the veins. But Microbot Medical is taking it to the next level with the Liberty endovascular robotic system, which I know is a single-use, fully disposable robot. Can you tell us how you were able to pull that off, and what are the advantages of a system you can toss?
Absolutely. So the market for endovascular procedures in total, as you mentioned, is very large, 6 million procedures annually in the US alone. We are targeting the peripheral as a starter, which is about 2.5 million procedures. And just recently, we received the FDA clearance for the system. As you mentioned, Dan, the system is not only single use and robotically, but it's also remotely operated, which in return can answer so many unmet needs that we see today. Number one is the health and concerns that healthcare providers have with both the ergonomic issues, orthopedic issues, and cancer issues because of the radiation exposure. Having the procedure being done remotely now allows us to keep your providers safer. There's also many inefficiencies in the cath lab. For example, today you need to have multiple people managing the instruments for the procedures. The way we're able to go about it is really be a single operator, which brings the efficiencies into your cath lab. We all know about the shortage of physicians, technologists, and nurses in the US and globally. By having the robot brings more efficiencies, we can even address this issue where the hospital are very excited about. And last but not least, many people that don't live in the big cities don't get access to quality care. They need to travel hundreds of miles, and this is in the US alone. Can you imagine what the situation is if you live outside the US? So that's exciting time for us to go through all the development, the regulatory approval, and now being able to actually answer all those unmet needs and change not only endovascular procedures by being the only company in the world that has a robot that does not have the expense and the complexity of the capital equipment. We can potentially change how the entire robotic surgical industry is being viewed.
Just incredible and very, very exciting stuff. And that's why I'm so happy to have you on to talk about this today. And let's talk, if we can, Harel, about what the feedback has been like for Liberty among physicians. And I understand there are positive results from a recent trial. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And the feedback is not only from physicians. There are many stakeholders to the procedure, which is the physicians, the technologists, the nurses, and let's not forget the administration, which are as important for the adoption of the product. Let's start with your question about the study that we had. The study showed a 100% success rate in navigation to the target, 92% reduction in radiation, which what we talk about the safety of the operator, and of course, zero adverse events. Keep the patient safety. That's our number one objective. When we talk about the physician feedback and the technologists, the people that actually carry the procedures, it's first of all allowing them to save patients' life while protecting their own. So continue doing what they love, what they want to do, but also protecting them from the radiation, from the physical strain and other issues. The other feedback that came overwhelmingly positive was the ease of use. The ability that within just a few simple procedures, to be able to do the procedure on your own, not only from the physician perspective, but also from the technologist. Another thing is, there's a new doctor in town called Dr. Google. Many of these physicians actually see patients come in and ask, are you using a robot? And they feel that now finally they can address that question, at least in the peripheral space of like, yes, I'm using a robot. And from the administration perspective, it's really about the management of the shortage of staff. They feel that with the robot, they now can retain existing staff and attract new staff because they show that they do care about the staff. They have innovation. It will allow them to extend the career of their staff, improve efficiencies in the cath lab that potentially will translate into economical value. And last but not least, integrating robotic programs that they have done in companies like Intuitive Surgical or some orthopedic companies, allow them to differentiate in the marketplace and attract more patients to come to their sites.
Yeah, and it's such an important thing. You mentioned the extending of a staff. My dad's a doctor, and the ease of use and having the great stuff for a staff is such an important thing, no matter where you are. Let's talk about what actions you took prior to that FDA clearance that has positioned Microbot for launch and commercial success.
So number one is as we were going through the process with the FDA, we also started building the infrastructure for the commercial team. So we hired medtech leaders in sales, marketing, clinical, and logistics to really help us be prepared to execute flawlessly once we get into commercialization. The second thing is start building the inventory to support our limited market release, which is going to be our first approach going into the full release going into next year. And then continue to establish collaboration with the medical societies. Awareness and adoption of the product can be closely related to how you collaborate with the medical societies. And last but not least is strengthening our cash balance. So right now we're able to secure about $85 million that we have in cash that we believe will allow us to execute against our near and long-term growth strategies.
Really, you keep saying very exciting times for Microbot. And if we can, Harel, let's kind of spin this forward a little bit. What does the future look like in the near term, let's say medium term and long term for Microbot? And why should investors be so excited about the Microbot medical story, which obviously is such an important part of this?
So the number one thing is focus and execution. That's what we're going to target. We got the FDA clearance about 2 weeks ago, and now there are some activities we can finalize. So first thing is finalizing the commercial team, build up training, and getting ready to execute in the market. We're planning to go to market with a limited market release here in the US during Q4 of this year. The second thing that we are doing is building an optimal inventory levels to help us support not only the limited market release that we're planning in Q4 this year, but going into a full market release, which we plan to do in April of next year, which coincides with the Society of Interventional Radiology. We are attending finally, commercially, we can promote now the product. So now we are attending those medical conferences, starting with the CIO, Conference of Interventional Oncology, that will be in October this year in Miami, and evaluate markets that are ex-US, but are receiving or accepting FDA-cleared devices. Just to name a few: Switzerland, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Japan, but doing all of this without losing the focus of the execution. And in parallel, as you're saying, how do we look into the future? The growth is really about getting the CE mark by the end of next year. That's our expectations. But also building both the IP platform to strengthen our position as we go to different markets, and also investing in our pipeline. As I mentioned, right now, we're playing within the endovascular peripheral space, which is about 2.5 million procedure in the US. But our robot has the ability to also move forward and be playing in the cardiovascular and neurovascular space, which will increase our total addressable market. So both the short term and long term is part of the activities we are executing as we speak.
Incredible stuff going on for you guys at Microbot. What a time to be alive. And listen, it's an absolute pleasure talking with you, Harel. It always is. Thank you so much for your time today, and nothing but the best going forward for you.
Again, thank you for your time and having me.
A pleasure and honor all mine. That was the chairman, CEO, and president of Microbot Medical, Harel Gadot. Their NASDAQ ticker is MBOT. Now let's send it back to the inspiration from the Western epic Dances with Wolves, the great Ryan Faluna.
I got to be honest with you, that it was epic. I think I saw my max allotment of wearing tights for my life during that whole thing. So I'm glad that's gone now.
You pulled them off very well. That's a very important thing.
Well, that's quite true. Dan, really good stuff there. Really look forward to picking your brain on some bets next week. Win this week. Build that bankroll.
I will do that. And anytime I see you, it's a great day.
That is probably the nicest thing I've heard in a long time. Right back at you, Slick. Dan, thanks very much. Take care. We'll catch you next time. That is Dan Leach. Really good stuff on our MBOT interview. Thank you very much, folks, for all of that. And y'all know what time it is now. That's right. It is are we missing somebody? Let's go ahead and bring on Rhett. Let's go. Oops, that's Rhett's screen. Let's go ahead and bring on Rhett and the Godfather. Guys, where's Ben?
Ben is on vacation today. So
well earned, huh? Well earned vacation. You guys ready to take care of this yourselves?
Oh yeah, we're ready. We are ready.
All right. I'm going to get out of your hair. Rhett, Godfather, happy Wednesday. Take it away, folks.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Morning, guys.
Morning, Godfather. How's it
Yeah,
going?
Ben off for Rosh Hashanah. So
Yep.
yeah, good. I think we should start there because it's an important period in the market by these Jewish holidays, right? There is an old Yom Kippur, and if you look since 1928, actually during this period, the market's down between 0.6 and 1.1%. We've all been waiting for this sort of seasonal swoon. We haven't had it. I mean, we saw pretty much every index, including the Russell, make new highs last week. So this 2-week period that we're in right now is generally the weakest period for the entire market. It's also a time where we've come into quiet periods. There's not a lot of economic data on tap. You've got, I think the non-farm payrolls is really the next significant data point from the economic standpoint that comes on October 3rd. So, it's a time in the market where, we've come off of 12 of 15 sessions in a row with the NDX being positive, momentum factor leading this market. We saw a little bit of rotation, if you want to call it that, or a little bit of digestion, I guess is a better way to talk about it, of that big AI move. We saw, obviously, when NVIDIA announced the $100 billion deal with OpenAI, the stock went up almost $10. It gave back some $7 of that yesterday. And of course, we're up now in sympathy with yet another data point that basically says that the scale of this AI cycle is, I think, larger than a lot of people appreciate, right? What Alibaba came out with last night is nothing short of remarkable, right? There were 3 big things that happened. First of all, they talked about this 380 billion won, or like 53 billion US, which was their capex over the next 3 years. Now saying it's going to be at least that. We are in this massive AI spend race globally, right? We've got, I think they updated now, they expect 4 trillion won, which equates to 560 billion US dollars over the next 4 years in AI spending. So, every time you think that, there's some questions about the durability of this theme, it looks like the market's, entering another phase of price discovery once again. And, we saw 3 things happen, right? We saw, number one, Alibaba announced that they are collaborating with NVIDIA on humanoid robots. This, gets right to this physical AI theme that I've been pounding the table on. I'll talk a little bit more about that later in this half hour that we've got. But, they talked about their power needs, Alibaba, going up 10x in 10 years from when Gen AI first sort of hit the scene in 2022 into what they forecast into 2032. So as a peripheral theme to AI, in addition to, physical AI, agentic commerce, power, obviously continues to be one of the major themes, and we see that in the market, and we'll talk about that as well. But they announced this QN3 Max, a trillion parameter large language model, puts them number 3 globally, exceeds the sort of performance that we've seen out of OpenAI's ChatGPT 5. That's significant. They also announced this patent for integrated circuit and chip packaging. This is way above my pay grade, but my understanding of this is that it's essentially a 3D stacked multi-die type structure that's quite revolutionary. So obviously you're seeing material revaluation in Alibaba today. Coming into today, it was my largest position. So, I'm a happy camper, but I spent some time this morning and last night when this news hit, just, looking again at the relative valuations. And I think this is really important to put into context. The single biggest or best comp for Alibaba has to be Amazon. And let's look at the 2 companies together. Amazon, it's a $2.4 $1 trillion market cap company. Alibaba is 407 billion as of today. But from an EBITDA margin standpoint, they're essentially the same. Alibaba like 19%, Amazon 22%. From a sales growth standpoint, they're both growing at like 10% on the top line. But the real difference comes when you start looking at the multiples. Right now, the PE on Alibaba, and I'm using the 2016 numbers, is let's see here. It is 17.6. Amazon is 29. Okay, if you look at it on an EV to sales basis, you're 2.5 for Baba, and you're 3.1 for Amazon. What does this mean in sort of relative valuation terms? And we can extend that into enterprise value to EBITDA as well. We're at like 13.3 for Alibaba and 14.3 for Amazon. So I distilled all of this down. And if you look at the average multiple across those three metrics and applied them to Alibaba, you would come out with a share price of around 240. This gets you, 33% upside to Alibaba after, I'm talking about after this move to 179 already. So look, a lot of this has been made up year to date. Alibaba's up 115%. Amazon is flat. But if Alibaba is now more of an NVIDIA type company, if they put this patent for integrated circuitry and chip packaging to work, and it becomes more and more of an AI company, you will see that valuation multiple expand. I did the same exercise on NVIDIA just for, shits and giggles. And, look, this is napkin math, right? So this is 1 foot firmly anchored in the air. But you end up with a number around $330 on an equivalent valuation metric if you put in the NVIDIA numbers. Now, that's not fair because NVIDIA's got like 62% EBITDA margins, but that's 85% upside from here. So do we see that in 5 years? I think so. Do we see it, probably less than that in 3? I think so. What did I do with my Alibaba position this morning? I bought more. And that's what you do. When the winners continue to win. So the valuation on Alibaba tells you that you've still got room to the upside. And for me, this is my process. This is where I'm anchored. This is where I get my conviction. And this is what works for me. So that's the big news in the market on the AI space today. But there's so much going on. What have you got, Rhett? You spent a lot of time looking at the indices here and trading the indices.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
anything?
So it looks like we were heading into a little bit of a correction here, just with the market. I mean, you saw it yesterday with Powell's speak, sold off on his comments on that. And then also today we're showing a little signs of weakness and we're chopping around. I want to see a further move to the downside here with the indices. We're starting to pull back on the RSI. It's looking nice, but I think we could definitely make a dip into the 590s and a little lower, maybe in the 580s here in the next couple of weeks for the Qs and along with SPY. And then also to mention, don't forget about Jack Ma coming back as well, playing a pivotal role with Alibaba as well there. So just pointing that out.
Yeah, and we saw the information came out with this piece. It was highlighted in our Discord earlier in the day saying, hey, expect an expansion of Stargate. And we got exactly that. So, once again, goes to my earlier comment that, the scale of this AI cycle, I think, is larger than people expect. And the thing that really stood out to me when Jensen was on stage with the fellow from OpenAI, Sam Altman, he basically said exactly what I have been saying and talking about in small cap spaces on this whole physical AI theme. He basically said that every product and every service will have an AI overlay to it. And so, look, there's a lot of great small cap companies that are participating in this, all the way up to winning contracts from the U.S. government, not as a prime contractor, but as an input into these prime contractors' actual wins. So these are companies that are enabling inference at the edge for military applications, surveillance, UAVs, but it's everything, right? It's anything that's autonomous, whether it's your electric vehicle, it's industrial applications, anything that has a physical aspect to it. So it's industrial robots. So anything that's in that ecosystem, pull up a chart of OUST for me, Rhett. This was a huge winner for our community, starting at $12, and the stock, continues to bounce around near all-time highs here. I think we've checked back a little bit. What did we touch? 34, and now we're down at 31. But the stock is still relatively inexpensive, and there's a huge tailwind to this business. And again, what do? They provide sensors, LiDAR sensors, essentially the eyes on the robots, that Baba's working in conjunction with NVIDIA to produce. It's LiDAR, but they're also doing, a software stacking behind that to interpret data. I've been pounding the table on MTEK, MTEK. In the small cap spaces, we highlighted it week before last, said that the warrants presented a tremendous opportunity and great leverage here. Those were up some 160% just in the week since we highlighted it. And again, this thing is ridiculously cheap relative to even its peers like LightPath and OSS. And these are both companies that use MTEK. And then, LightPath technologies actually get incorporated into contract wins by the likes of Lockheed Martin, et cetera. So, LightPath is a company that's doing infrared sensors. They use MTEK technology, both for video compression, their AI algorithms, and on the hardware side, their AI accelerators. So here you got MTEK, which is a $27 million market cap company, actually providing products indirectly, through to the top. So to the Department of Defense via Lockheed Martin. So here's a perfect example of incredible leverage. In this sphere, one of the names that we highlighted earlier that's been a bit of a disappointment, pull up a chart if you would for me, Rhett, of BZAI. This is a company with very well-respected Silicon Valley engineers that worked at many of the mega cap tech companies. And they provide silicon, a chip that's specifically designed just for inference. And, they've had some credibility issues in the market because they're just moving from that sort of pilot stage into commercial deliveries. And they have yet to show, cadence on those commercial deliveries. And some of their initial customers these are early adopters in countries like Korea, et cetera, in smart city applications. So, think about cameras that control traffic lights, physical surveillance, cameras that track, flow of customers in malls, public transportation systems, all things like this. But we finally saw the stock break through $4. It's like the first move back through $4 since the short report came out, which I think has been debunked essentially by the market. I didn't think there was any credibility to it at all to begin with. D.A. Davidson has got one of the most respected analysts in this space, in Gil Loria, and he's maintained a $10 target price on the stock all the way through. The stock bounced to the almost $6 range when they first announced their initial contract wins. And again, they're talking about a minimum of 125, I think it's actually 135 now, million in revenue for this period that we're currently in, this fiscal year. So if they can actually put a couple of quarters on the table where they book that revenue and they've converted this backlog into actual purchase orders, I think you'll see that thing trade right back up into this $5-6 range. So these two names, MTech and BZAI, are trading at around 2 to 3 times on an EV to sales basis, whereas their peers like OSS, Lightpath, you could even put MOB or Ondas in that group, are trading in the $6 to $7 range. So you can see the type of upside potential there. So that continues to be a big theme for us. The other name, the other theme peripheral to AI that we've had a lot of success on in the community, and I think is going to continue to be one of the predominant themes in the market, of course, is power, right? Look at this massive move in Oklo.
Yep.
I'm short from 142. I missed the dip down to 134, post the Powell speech. I did cover a little bit today when we got back down to that level. But there are some incredible ways to play this. We've been sitting in a cash proxy in GSRT. This is a SPAC that's about to change its ticker to NKLR. The deal vote, I believe, is the third week of October. It's essentially deal risked out. And you can buy these rights. Where is GSRTR trading right now on your screen?
So right now we are currently at 9.
Yeah. So and GSRT is trading. I think it was going up. GSRT.
I actually picked up a few more shares earlier today, right around here. We're at 1063 right now.
Yeah. So this is risk-free money between the REITs and where the common is trading. The way this deal was structured, if the deal did not get approved, your REITs would have zero value. But there's virtually no risk in this transaction not getting shareholder approval. So there's $1.60. You could arb this if you can short GSRT and buy GSRTR and take out $1.60. I'm playing this simply legging long into GSRTR and picking up that extra because I think you're going to see a revaluation in the $13, $14 range on this. The other name that I don't think is getting proper attention in this market is ASPI. Look, I own both LEU, which is conventional enrichment through centrifuge technology. This has been a fantastic winner. Obviously, they've received money from the Department of Energy, to further U.S. independence in enrichment, which has been dominated by Russia. But ASPI is using laser enrichment at a fraction of the cost. The capex for the traditional centrifuge technology starts with a B. Their technology is in the 200 million range. Now it's about commercial scale, and they've essentially shown that this technology works, and now it's about scaling it up. Interesting development recently. We saw their subsidiary that's focused on uranium enrichment or enrichment of other like radioactive elements for energy, Quantum Leap, make an investment in a company with the ticker SKBL. And there are some, and I've got to do some more work on this, but the expectation is, or at least the inference is that they may use this as the RTO vehicle to take QLE public. Not 100% on that, but I am now long SKBL until I do some more research to see if that's actually going to be the case. But either way, they're working with this company. So I think you want to own ASPI. You're getting several value creation things happening all at once. isotopes, medical isotopes, is a market that's completely underserved. There's very few players. Their technology works tremendous in that field. There's also silicon enrichment. So there's like three legs to a stool, and they're spinning out these public companies, whether it ends up being SKBL for Quantum Leap or not. You're going to, as a shareholder of ASPI, benefit from value appreciation from three independent companies ultimately. So that's a name that should be on everybody's radar screen. The other sector or theme is, of course, defense and new defense. Everybody's waiting for Anduril to finally go public. I don't know if that's going to happen in 2026 or 2027. They've hinted as much, but there are ways to play this. Again, the publicly listed leaders in new defense technology are AVAV, KTOS, and KRMN. KRMN is the one that the market is sort of the least familiar with. This is a new IPO as of February of this year. Yeah, there you can see the chart. This thing started to just follow in the path of KTOS, which has been essentially making new highs every day, or did so every day last week. I know that they were doing a non-deal roadshow with Goldman, so I kind of attributed some of the strength to that. But that's now ended, and they continue to make new highs. So look, these guys are in all of the subsectors of defense that are hot right now. Anything to do with Golden Dome, anything to do with hypersonic, anything to do with missile defense, anything to do with space launch, satellites, propulsion systems, interstage payload protection, deployment systems, integrated defense. That's essentially what these guys do. And Karman actually provides technology that gets integrated into some of the KTOS products and into some of the AVAB products. So, think about the new generation of warfighters. The next generation of fighter jets. It's all about having drone swarms, fly with these aircraft. And these are the companies that are in that hypersonic space, allowing that to happen. And of course, providing the same sort of hypersonic technology that goes into Golden Dome technology. So that's become my latest long-term core position. And I think you'll see it continue to make 52-week highs. The Raymond James defense analyst, who's one of the most highly regarded on the street, and I think has actually more credibility than some of the street analysts on this name, because Raymond James was not in the syndicate for this IPO. And they were late as a result, putting out research coverage. The average targets are in the sort of $65 range, which is about where the stock is trading. And he came out with a target saying, this thing should be trading on a multiple that's more akin to what we're seeing from leading defense companies. And this includes names like Palantir. And you might say, well, you can't really compare a software company multiple to somebody that's providing defense hardware. The thing about it is Karman actually has adjusted EBITDA margins in excess of 30%. So this thing does have software type margins. And when he does his work, and you're looking about taking growth rates that are 30% CAGR, so you got 30% growth and 30% margins. Take those out to 2030, discount them back at a reasonable base, and you get a $100 target on this name. I think he's going to be proven right. He has a history of making non-standard Wall Street calls and being proven right. And I think he's ahead of the curve on this. You're going to see them announce some blockbuster numbers at their next quarter, and I think the rest of the street, which ironically enough are all the syndicate members, who now are underwater in terms of their targets relative to where the stock is, upgrade and join. Most likely that street estimate's going to come out somewhere in the $85 range in the next 3 months. So expect a number of upgrades on Carmen. And look, it's trading at a premium to some of its peers, but it's justified on both a growth and a margin basis. And the reason, frankly, that they can get these margins is because they have the platform technology, and everybody needs to use it. Lockheed can't win a lot of these contracts. Northrop Grumman can't win a lot of these contracts. General Dynamics can't win a lot of these contracts with the Department of Defense if it wasn't for Carmen's technologies. And they supply such key parts of the supply chain that they've got long-term contracts, and nobody else can provide the deliverabilities. So it's justified. It's just not that well known by the market because it is a relatively new IPO. So there we've covered what? Defense, we've covered energy, we've covered physical AI.
You want to talk a little bit about MU?
What's that?
You want to talk a little bit about MU? They had
MU?
earnings yesterday. They were pretty good.
Yeah, look, this thing has a history of trading down on earnings, even when they report good earnings. They did report good earnings, but look, pull up a chart of MU. The stock was up 30% since September 1st, right? So look, earnings estimates on a GAAP basis went up 10 to 20% across the board, and the stock is down 2%. So what does that tell you? The market had already skated to where the puck was to be on this. Interesting chart out of Goldman this morning, sort of plotting DRAM pricing relative to the Micron share price. And there's been a big gap. This gap that I'm talking about, this run up of 30% since September 1st, really stands out on that chart. So look, there's no question about the need for high bandwidth memory in AI. And, you saw sympathy move in the other DRAM producers, the Korean names, as a result. It's a robust market, but the stock had basically priced it all in. So for that reason, it wasn't a name that we recommended playing going into earnings. But look, it's something that should be in your long-term AI basket, because over time, the stock is going to trade higher. I just think there's lower hanging fruit right now. I'm much more intrigued by, what's coming out of BABA than, what we see out of Micron. But I will say, look, Micron, it trades at a relatively low valuation, right? We're talking about 14, 15 times PE, but it does so for a reason, because it's in one of the most cyclical areas of semis, and people have forgotten with this big AI super cycle that semiconductors are actually cyclical companies, and when the cycle turns, pricing, especially on products that are more commoditized, get hit very quickly. So there's some muscle memory there in Micron for that reason, and that's why the multiple, isn't at 30 times or 40 times if you want to look at, NVIDIA on this year's numbers. So that's Micron.
Awesome.
What else should we touch on?
We can talk a little bit about ASTS. ASTS has been running up here recently. They still have these upcoming catalysts. They're about to launch some of the satellites up here, up into space here pretty soon. So just keep that in consideration. There's also some news with the CEO that came out a little bit ago, as you guys saw, with passing some stuff with the governments. So I think earlier on, beginning of the year, we gave a $100 price target. I think that's still in play by the end of the year. For upcoming targets, I think we can break the all-time highs here for ASTS and probably head into the 70s and 80s. And then we'll probably see another pullback until we get another catalyst for this name. And that's for ASTS.
I want to talk a little bit about, something outside of the core theme. So, we've only got a couple of minutes left here, but the other core theme in the market that continues to rock and roll is rare earths. We saw lack. Lithium isn't really a play, but a rare earth play, but it does fall into the government's purview of an area that it wants to dominate and have secure supply in. And of course, they've got their Thacker Pass deposit in Nevada that the DOE had already provided some loan guarantees to, and now they're talking about taking an equity stake in it, similar to what they did with MP Materials on the rare earth side. So that stock is up 100% today, and we're seeing double-digit moves in the likes of quadruple U, etc. For good reason. But look, these names, METC is another one. We all know have run a lot in here. So I would just caution that. But it's a durable theme, and for a reason. One area that I certainly don't focus on that I think deserves some attention, though, is the refiners. You see, pull up charts of MPC, Valero, VLO, or my favorite, PBF, and look at these runs since the beginning of September.
What is it, PBF or
PBF? Yeah.
PBF?
PBF is up 69% in the last month. It's up 17% in the last month. It's returned 69% of its year-to-date gains just in this last month. Valero, same situation. It's up 27% year-to-date.
What's that ticker?
Of that return in percentage points, or 30%, has happened just since September 1st. So
VLO is the ticker.
Yeah, so you got VLO, MPC, and PBF. These were put on my radar screen. I don't spend a lot of time focusing on energy, but it's interesting to me that the XLE is essentially flat. And these names have returned, on a year-to-date basis, MPC 31%, Valero 27%, and PBF 7%. But, 18% since September 1st. That's it.
Hey.
We've run out of time, Ryan. Are we getting
You did, but you guys did great. I'll tell you what, you were a person short, but not short on information. Really good stuff here today, folks.
Yeah, we packed in a lot.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right. We will catch you next week. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. All right, guys?
All right. You as well. Take care, Ryan. Have a good one. Good luck in fantasy this week.
Thank you. You too.
There you go.
You too. I appreciate that.
I need all the luck I can get at this point.
Dude, I was 3-1 across my 4 teams last week, so I'd like to repeat that here. Go Bears. We'll see. We could use another win against the Raiders here. Guys, really good stuff. We'll see you next week. Take care. That is Rhett and the Godfather from Story Trading. They do really, really good stuff around here. I stick around after. I know the producers can take care of it, but I actually stick around and watch it. I get ideas from them all the time. Really, really good stuff. Glad they're a part of this. Zach, take care of yourself. Mike, I don't know why you don't show up anymore, but I still love you. Hope all is well. All right, folks, we're going to go to Futures Fever next. Going to send you over to Kevin. You don't need to do anything. Just sit tight. Enjoy Futures Fever, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Stay green, stay safe, stay